If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Hello, good morning. It is 6 o'clock on Wednesday, June 17th. 11 degrees right now, feeling a little cooler than it was, a few days ago. The heat has left us, but it's still going to be a nice sunny day with a high of 22 degrees with some sunshine. Just not the muggy overnight hot stuff we had before. We'll get to the full forecast in a moment. Right now, the 6 o'clock news begins, and we say good morning to Lisa Best.
Good morning, Ryan. Thank you. Heading into what is historically the driest 2 months across southern Vancouver Island, that'd be July and August. The province shared an update yesterday on wildfire and drought conditions. Forest Minister Ravi Palmer outlined what we can expect to see for the summer.
The current warmth is expected to translate into above average temperatures throughout the next 2 months. These conditions, on top of the ongoing drought, are setting us up for an increase in wildfire activity as we enter the core of our wildfire season, particularly in the southern interior and south coast, where we must be ready for the chance of difficult to manage and aggressive wildfires.
Right now, there are no new active wildfires on Vancouver Island. However, there were a number of news starts yesterday in the BC interior. Currently, there's 14 active wildfires, 5 new starts in the last 24 hours, and currently there's 2 wildfires out of control, both on the southern mainland, and that's just in the past 24 hours, according to the BC Wildfire Dashboard. Turning our attention to water, the province urging residents to be in conservation mode when it comes to turning on the tap, or turning it off for this matter. An update on wildfire and drought shows Vancouver Island is much drier than usual heading into summer. Minister of Land, Water and Resource Stewardship, Randy Neal, says that some areas are coming up with innovative ways to encourage saving water.
We're even seeing some creative ways that people are trying to get the message out and be proactive, including a local contest in which neighbors have the best golden lawns in the boundaries Similkameen by not watering their lawns at all. And I can tell you just by looking at ours, it's well on its way to being golden.
Stage 3 water restrictions are coming to the Comox Valley Regional District next week. That means no lawn watering at any time, any day. No washing of vehicles or boats other than in commercial car wash or car dealerships. No pressure washing driveways or boulevards. No filling swimming pools. Hot tubs and garden pools, garden ponds are out too. The restrictions begin Tuesday and apply to all homes in Comox, Courtenay, Comox First Nation, and the Comox Valley Water Local Service Area. The move due to BC Hydro's flow reduction on the Puntledge River. A strike of municipal workers in Colwood apparently narrowly averted. The city posted on its website yesterday it reached a tentative agreement with QP Local 374 CEO. Jason Johnson says the deal recognizes the important contributions of employees, supports the health and well-being, and also remains sustainable for the residents and businesses who rely on city services. Details of the tentative agreement will be released once it's ratified. Langford continues to move towards municipally contracted curb garbage collection services. Council is proposing a new system where Langford wouldn't operate collection itself. It wouldn't be funded by property taxes. Rather, the city would seek a request for proposals from the private sector to provide the service and bill households directly for that. The BC government taking a new approach to support kids and youth. Attorney General Nikki Sharma talked about the new action plan yesterday.
We know that getting the right support at the right time can make a real difference for people facing challenges. But too often, families have difficulty navigating complex systems on their own, especially when they are dealing with stress, conflict, or crisis. The Child and Youth Wellbeing Action Plan is about changing that. It's about building a system that is easier to access, more connected, and focused on prevention so that people can get help earlier before problems escalate.
The action plan comes in response to the Don't Look Away report that examines systemic issues affecting vulnerable kids and families in BC. And the third and final day of the G7 is underway in France, actually wrapping up. Prime Minister Mark Carney took questions after explaining that he and Donald Trump did have details of Canada's plan to import a number of Chinese electric vehicles, a deal that the U.S. president had previously criticized.
I wouldn't take a big message from that. I had 7 or 8 discussions with President Trump over the course of the last 36 hours. I'll have more today, a wide range of subjects from the economy, relations, his birthday, obviously Iran, the aspects of the deal and the next steps there and how Canada can help. And good discussions.
Carney also says he's seen the preliminary agreement for ending the war in Iran and described it as having exceeded his expectations. That's your news to 6:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Do you think clean drinking water should be a human right for all Canadians? 85% say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or in the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Bastian, News Time 6:06.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning. Welcome to the day. Welcome to Wednesday. Here we are halfway through the week, and it's going to be a sunny one today. Highs of 22, just 11 degrees right now. I have to admit, I kind of enjoy the slightly cooler evening.
It feels good.
After we had a few of those nights where it didn't really cool off much, we're kind of back to normal here.
Well, it'll be back in July for you.
Oh, I'm sure it will, yeah. 9 degrees in Mill Bay, says this texter at 71010.
Okay.
Texter says 9 degrees in Mill Bay this sunny morning. Have a great day. To you too, texter in Mill Bay. Thanks so much for joining at 71010. We'll get you a full forecast in just a moment. But first to the sports, let's start local with the Victoria Harbour Cats. They had a decisive 17-7 defeat of the Redmond Dudes yesterday. So Victoria on top of the Cats, and Dudes will do battle twice more this week. Once tonight, 6:35, again at Royal Athletic Stadium, Wilson's Group Stadium. And again on Thursday, that's another one of these school spirit days. So it'll be an 11:05 start for the Thursday game. And yeah, schools are still in session for, well, I think that'll be like the last day, actually. No, next week's the last day. One more week this week. Next Thursday, final instructional day of school, which is being talked about a lot in my house. Anyways, I'm digressing. My kids are very excited about the end of school.
I thought you meant baseball.
No, the school. Sorry, final day of instruction for school is next Thursday.
Oh, you've heard all about that.
And I've been hearing about it all the time.
All the grand plans for summer?
Yeah. Oh, this just not being at school.
Oh, okay. That's it. That's the first step.
This is the first step.
I kind of get that.
Yeah.
It's like going on vacation, but a 2-month long.
Yeah.
Tell them they should enjoy that because their first job, they won't be getting a 2-month-long vacation.
Yeah, they're in that perfect age where it's just sort of they're old enough not to go to summer camp, but young enough not to have jobs.
Right.
So they can
and
just
they've
have
got a bike for transportation.
Yeah, exactly.
And the world is their oyster.
The reason I bring this up is, of course, tomorrow is School Spirit Day because school will still be in session tomorrow. It's just next Thursday that it's over. Sorry, I'm getting off topic here.
We're there. We're following you.
Let's also talk about the Toronto Blue Jays because they had a win last night, 6-1 over the Boston Red Sox. And those two teams go at it again for Game 2 of this 3-game series. And Seattle beat Baltimore 3-1. Over to the World Cup of Soccer, there are 4 matches today, including one at Toronto Stadium between Group L underdogs Ghana and Panama. So seeing another Canadian soil match. It's the second of 6 matches to be played at the Toronto venue. Elsewhere, Portugal plays DR Congo in Houston. England meets Croatia in Arlington. I get a sense there's a lot of England fans in this town. So do note that game's coming up today. Their first one of the group stages.
Did you see what happened in Boston?
Which one was that one? That was the...
They're blaming the Scottish fans for drinking the city dry.
That's also been happening in Vancouver with the Australian fans. Okay.
You know what?
Yeah?
You got to have respect for that.
I want to talk more about this, actually. Hang on. After the sports, can we talk about how certain cities are noticing the ways certain countries drink? We're going to talk about that in a second. I put a pin in that. That's coming back. But I do want to talk about how that Uzbekistan plays Colombia in the late game in Mexico. So that's the today schedule. Yesterday, there was some of the big kind of names of soccer were out yesterday. Some of the stars shining brightly, like Lionel Messi, who scored 3 times to tie the Cup's all-time scoring record with 16 goals. So that's his total now. As Argentina blanked Algeria 3-0. Also, Erling Haaland scored twice in his World Cup debut as Norway overpowered Iraq 4-1. And Kylian Mbappe scored twice as France downed Senegal 3-1, and Austria beat Jordan 3-1 in the late game last night. So that's your World Cup schedule for today and what happened yesterday. And let's talk about the fans and the drinking in just a moment. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Well, out on the roads, we're still in that overnight closure of the Bay Street Bridge, which is 7 p.m. last night to 7 a.m. this morning. So we're still in that until 7. Both directions of the Bay Street Bridge closed as they do a bit more of that work that they've been doing. It will reopen in both directions as of 7 a.m. and then it'll close again tonight at 7 p.m. and then the following night at 7 p.m. So that's kind of all this week in the overnight hours. Otherwise, looking pretty good right now. No crashes, no accidents, no other issues. If you do see something, text me at 71010. For the weather forecast, it is going to be a mainly sunny day. You could see a bit of cloud here and there, but mainly sunny. Windy, but not quite as windy as yesterday. Quite a breezy day if you were near the Juan de Fuca Strait. You kind of noticed it all day long. Well, it's going to eventually start to ease off the wind as we get further into the morning, but still with us a bit this morning. And a high of 22 degrees, but a bit cooler by the water. Clear skies tonight, still a bit breezy. Lows down to 11. Tomorrow, sunny. Highs of 25. We will see a bit cooler condition by the water. And we'll see that kind of continue through the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, looking like it's sunshine with temperatures into the mid-20s. So still quite warm as we head in towards this weekend. Right now, it is 11 degrees. Although I have this texter at 71010 who says, good morning, Ryan and Lisa. So interesting to hear that our Mill Bay buddy had the same temperature as Prospect Lake, which is 9.2 degrees. So there's another local temperature check. Also, quick shout out
Is that from Chunky?
I'm not sure. This is from Chris.
Yeah, it's Chunky.
So Chris has Chunky the Death Cat?
Yeah.
Well, hello to Chunky the Death Cat. Well, Lisa, funny that you should chime in here because the texture continues. Quick shout out to Lisa. So awesome to hear you discuss motorcycling last night on the night shift with Shane Hewitt. It was a great interview, says Chris.
I tried to talk about Prospect and doing 30, but couldn't crowbar that one in.
The country needs to hear
about Prospect Lake.
30 is the speed limit.
Speed limit's 30,
it's important
folks.
to say.
Do 30.
On the markets, well, nothing's happening yet because the opening bells have not rung for North American stock market. So let's look at how things went yesterday with Aaron Sousa.
Canada's main stock index hit a new high for a third day yesterday. Toronto's S&P TSX was up 113, closing at 35,389. In New York, the Dow climbed by 328. The Nasdaq, however, slipped 307. Asian markets this morning were mixed. In Tokyo, the Nikkei was up 497, but the Hang Seng in Hong Kong was down 181. Our dollar is trading at 71 and 42 cents U.S. Prime Minister Mark Carney says he's had several informal chats with U.S. President Donald Trump at the G7. The two leaders have not had an official bilateral meeting, but have discussed Canada's plan to import Chinese electric vehicles. Carney says Trump likes the plan. Sticking with trade, the fate of CUSMA remains uncertain. Canada and Mexico say they want the deal extended to 2042, but Trump isn't keen on renewal. Experts say a sudden U.S. exit is unlikely given North American industry ties. And Alberta's new finance minister will speak today at the Calgary Chamber of Commerce. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Aaron Sousa.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us here on CFAX 1070 on this Wednesday morning. It's 6:15, so already time to kick off the headlines. Although I do want to talk about the drinking habits of World Cup fans, so that's coming up. We are going to get to that, but right now, let's get to the headlines. What's going on, Lisa?
Okay, we'll start in West Kelowna. One resident said he and his family had just 45 minutes to pack after police came to the door yesterday, told them they had to flee that new wildfire that was burning nearby. Joel Gluska said he and his wife and his daughter grabbed everything they could find and the hard drive of family photos before leaving. The home was one of 357 properties placed under evacuation order for several hours in response to the fire in a park near Okanagan Lake. The BC Wildfire Service says now that fire isn't expected to grow beyond its boundary, and the evacuation order was downgraded to alert, covering 742 properties. So we'll keep you posted on what happens next in that department. But it is dry, so be careful with any fire products you use. WorkSafe BC said that Fraser Valley Water Park, where a dozen students were injured earlier this week in an apparent electrical accident, won't reopen until all is safe. Officials say the students from a middle school nearby in Port Coquitlam made contact with a railing in the queuing area beneath the 0 to 60 water slide at the Cultus Lake Water Park, a huge water park. The park says the railing was part of a steel frame tent structure, but apparently it was electrified. Mounties say early indications show no criminality, and Technical Safety BC has taken charge of the investigation. The Strait of Hormuz, the latest, expected to reopen on Friday thanks to that deal from the U.S., between the U.S. and Iran. A memorandum of understanding between the two nations is set to be signed that day. The deal reopens the strait and also unfreezes Iran's financial assets. And Premier David Eby says he will be hosting and yelling "Go Canada Go" as Team Canada plays Qatar in the World Cup match in Vancouver tomorrow. He told the crowd in Vancouver that he's requested everyone in the province ask them to wear red for the occasion. Eby says Canadians have been through a lot over the past few years. It's time to celebrate how the country is standing up on the world stage. And he says Vancouver and Toronto are abuzz. Parades of fans taking to the streets and setting records with taking transit. The TransLink rides in Vancouver surpassing those even when Taylor Swift came to the city December for her Eras tour. That's your headline news to 6:17.
Coming up next, we'll tell you which countries are drinking which bars in Vancouver dry because of the World Cup. That's to come. Also, a few other things going on in the news to discuss after traffic and weather. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps for a comfortable home no matter the season and big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. On the roads, I just mentioned again, the Bay Street Bridge closed both directions right now for that overnight work, but it's reopening at 7 this morning. No other major issues right now, no crashes or backups, and the West Shore commute into the core area has not built up yet, so it's still pretty easy going. Smooth sailing. Speaking of smooth sailing, what's going on at BC Ferry? Swartz Bay, the Tsawwassen 7 o'clock sailing is next. Lots of room left for vehicles. And for the weather, it's a mainly sunny day, a little windy still right now, but that'll kind of ease off as the day goes on. It's still going to stay a little breezy, but it's not going to be as strong as yesterday off the Juan de Fuca Strait. The high temperatures are 22. 17 is the temperature you can expect if you're near the windy water. Clear skies tonight, lows to 11 again, which is very much kind of the same situation as we've had overnight tonight, or last night, I should say. So it's kind of another similar day today. But then it heats up a little bit again. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're getting back into the mid-20s as a high temperature in mostly sunny skies, a few clouds here and there. Right now, the temperatures are all over the place. We got 9 degrees in, Mill Bay and Prospect Lake, as our texters have let us know, but the official temperature is 11 at the airport.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
The World Cup is many things. It's fantastic world-class soccer. It's also world-class drinking in a lot of places, and we've been learning that. I got this one story out of Vancouver where businesses in Vancouver's Granville Entertainment District say they are welcoming the pedestrian zone for the World Cup that was set up. I had a friend who went to Vancouver over the weekend. They weren't there for the World Cup. They were just there for something else, but they did go and check out the sort of just the vibe in the city.
Course.
And they said that was really cool, the sort of big pedestrian zone they've got in Granville,
nice.
Just the way they've cleaned it up, and they got all the World Cup celebrations going on. It was just a really neat vibe going on. And that is where you will find this guy. His name is Tyler Browers. He's general manager of a pub right there. Mm-hmm. It's called Dublin Calling,
which seats 500.
And he says last Saturday's match at BC Place saw Australian fans fill the bar and nearly drink it dry. He says they've had to order an unprecedented amount of beer to fill the demand.
Well, we were kind of had high hopes for the World Cup, but we didn't really anticipate that sort of first opening weekend for it. I'm not sure if anyone's going to be able to top the Australians. That was very unique and an amazing experience to have.
He says
slightly terrifying too.
It's like, oh god. He said they had to shore up their supplies with inventory from their other, I guess they own other bars, so they had to bring other alcohol in from the other bars. Extra kegs from a local brewery just to try to keep the thing going. He says they also have hired a lot of new staff and ordered 200 kegs to fill the upcoming demand. That was Australia's World Cup game that took place in Vancouver on Saturday.
And then in Boston, the Boston Tap Room ran out of its lager because of Scottish fans.
So Scottish fans are also showing their drinking culture.
The Tartan Army took over the Boston area. It's got to be mildly terrifying for a bar owner to think, here we are, we spent months, if not years, planning for this, and we're going to run out of suds.
Yeah.
And fans wouldn't be happy about that. These seem to be advanced level partiers.
Uh-huh.
I get that impression. These people know their way around a bar.
Well, like I said, there's world-class soccer happening, but there's also world-class drinking happening.
And partying.
They take this to a new level.
Yeah, that's advanced level partying. They're taking it up quite a notch because Dublin Calling in Vancouver seats 500 people.
Yeah.
So if they're running low on beer, do the math on how many beers went down.
I salute you, Australians.
Right? It's kind of impressive. And I'm also hearing cha-ching for us.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully.
When we look at beer being supplied, even our local craft beers, I mean, there's got to be lots of spill off. I'm glad I bought my Hoyne the other day. If they've come to Vancouver Island, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I wonder if they notice that at all. If even because Victoria Craft Brewers will supply the Vancouver area. I wonder if this has caused an uptick in just sort of the demand.
I wonder too, and hopefully, but the sheer volume of what they have to have. You know, when you look at local distillers, I don't see how you would be able to keep up with that, but it would be nice to simply introduce it to them. But I don't think these people are going for flights of beer.
Yeah.
for beer tastings.
It is a different experience. Yeah.
This is more about, the party.
Yeah.
So thank you, Australia, for drinking Canada Dry.
There you go.
You're
We can use the business.
Putting Vancouver on the map in a very unique fashion.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Well, Vancouver will, of course, be hosting Team Canada for tomorrow's game. So that's one of the big ones coming up.
Oh, and Steve's going.
Steve will be there. We're actually
Sports guy
going to
Steve.
talk to, as we're calling him, Soccer Guy Steve coming up.
We've switched that. Okay.
Just for this week. Just
All
for
right.
this week.
Okay.
We'll talk to him tomorrow
Many
as
hats.
he heads over. Now, that's what's going on in downtown Vancouver as they embrace the World Cup business. What's going on in downtown Victoria for businesses? That's a different story. So we've had the DVBA, the Downtown Victoria Business Association, put out this report. It's sort of their annual report on downtown. They're going to be talking about it at their upcoming annual general meeting. But they've got the report out. And I'm going to talk to Jeff Bray later in the show, so we'll talk about this more. But I thought it was interesting. Amongst other things, they do a report card for downtown Victoria. And this is a report card from businesses. So businesses are doing the grading.
Okay.
They're grading downtown. Now, this time last year, if you recall, we were having this conversation about how many businesses were thinking of closing.
Yes.
Because of the state of disorder downtown, whether it was the, crime or just people on the streets or
And the
whatever it
rents
was.
and coming out of pandemic and
But sort of street disorder, public safety were
that was the problem.
so big in their minds that many were saying they might not even stay. They were very close to closing their businesses. Things have improved, apparently. They point out in this report that things are on an upswing. We've seen a lot of improvement, thanks in part to efforts from the City of Victoria to tackle that very social disorder we're talking about. They've hired additional bylaw staff and police officers. But what is the letter grade? So,
wait, okay. For which department? What's the
this is overall for downtown.
letter grade for downtown?
Yeah. The overall letter grade was C+, but 11% of businesses are giving downtown still an F, which was about the same number as last year. So despite the fact that they have been seeing some efforts being made and some improvements, there's still 11% of downtown businesses grading our downtown as an F letter grade.
Right.
And still a lot of those same priorities. And now, building on that, the DVBA is calling on the province to immediately close all public-facing supervised drug consumption sites and harm reduction services in an effort to try to continue to curb things like open drug use in the downtown.
And we're not the only city to be looking at, casting a harsh spotlight on the fact of, is this working? Are consumption sites working and do they add to the problem? So I know Toronto's looking at the same thing right now. So, Ottawa's looking at, so what do we do here? Do we listen to the businesses when they're giving, the city's efforts an F? The city is making an effort. It has made a concerted effort, but is it the right thing? Sometimes you have to change the effort. I guess we'll hear from Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff Bray, DVBA, will be joining the show a little later in the 8 o'clock hour, so we'll talk more about that. We've got one other thing to mention. Did you know that this lady's in town tonight? Bonnie Raitt is going to be at the Royal Theatre tonight, 7:30. It's sold out, so if you don't already have a ticket, I guess it's too late to go. But if you're going, if you're going,
ask Ryan for tickets.
If you're going, have a great time at Bonnie Raitt Royal Theatre tonight.
People are talking about people. I hear them whisper. You won't believe it. They think we're loving, kept undercover. I'll just ignore it, but they keep saying we laugh just a little too loud.
Where the noise stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations. From major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show. Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 6:31 on Wednesday, June 17th. We're taking a look at a very sunny day. Right now, it's about 11 degrees in Victoria, slightly cooler in some parts. We'll get you a full forecast in just a moment. Oh, and texture says the Bay Street Bridge is now open again after that overnight road work has ended a little earlier than predicted. So you can go
That's
both
good
directions
news.
on Bay Street. Thanks for letting us know. What else is going on? Here's the news with Lisa.
Thank you. It's dry out. We know this. The province provided an update just how dry it is and the wildfire situation across BC yesterday. David Campbell from the River Forecast Centre said it is much drier than normal heading into the historically drier summer months.
So we're coming into the drought season with a number of factors that are elevating our drought hazard. That low snowpack, early snow melt, the dry spring that we've seen so far, and that projection of a hot and dry summer moving forward. We see elevated concerns in some of the areas, particularly that these factors are most prevalent in the south and south interior, central interior, and areas on the south coast and Vancouver Island.
No new wildfires on Vancouver Island in the last 48 hours. There's about a dozen fires burning across BC. Stage 3 water restrictions are coming to the Comox Valley Regional District next on Tuesday. That means, among other things, no lawn watering at any time on any day. A BC resident is reflecting on the dramatic moment yesterday when RCMP officers demanded he and his family leave their West Kelowna home due to a nearby wildfire. This unfolded yesterday morning. Joe Gluska says he and his wife and daughter had 45 minutes to pack up their precious things. The family lives a block from where the fire sparked, burning out of control for much of Tuesday before firefighters got a handle on it. Now it's being held. Gluska recalls how his morning started before the evacuation order started.
My wife was more perceptive than I was. She said, "That smells like a fire." I said, "Yeah, it's probably somebody barbecuing and they're burning the thing clear." And then, of course, I would go outside to do some gardening, and the smoke was quite intense at that time, but it was, of course, white smoke, and it was going up. And then I said, "Okay, that's the fire."
Central Okanagan officials downgrading the evacuation order for 357 properties last night, but a total of 742 in West Kelowna remain under evacuation alert. Residents still need to be ready to leave at a moment's notice. BC Highway Patrol putting commercial truck drivers on notice that if they use these routes, they better be compliant with all the safety rules and regulations. Highway Patrol say there was a jump in fines from 31 last year to 44 this year, and a warning jump to 59 this year compared to 29 last year, among more than 400 vehicles inspected during a 24-hour roadside check in Kamloops in mid-May. And they note also an increase in defects found in immediate repairs that needed done on some of these vehicles, up to 38 from 28 last May. The BC government is moving forward this summer to create a new child and youth well-being action plan. The plan will be a whole-of-government approach to better support kids, teens, and families. The Minister of Child and Family Development, Jody Wickens, was asked if it might result in some ministries being combined.
We've heard for far too long that families have to go to multiple different places for different services, for some of the same services. And as a part of this engagement over the summer, we will be working with those experts on how we can deliver that more integrated coordination approach. That could mean potentially that our ministries come together. It could not. We have to really work with our partners and with service providers and people with lived experience, like I said, to hear how we can better do that.
The action plan comes in response to the Don't Look Away report that examines systemic issues affecting vulnerable kids and families here in this province. That's your news to 6:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking, do you think clean drinking water should be a human right for all Canadians? 85% say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. Your news time is 6:36.
Thanks, Lisa, and good morning. Welcome to Wednesday, where we'll see some sunshine. Little breeze still this morning, but the wind is actually going to lighten off as the morning goes on. We'll get you a full forecast in just a moment. Right now to the sports, where the Victoria Harper Cats with a decisive 17-7 defeat of the Redmond Dudes yesterday at the Royal Athletic Park, Wilson's Group Stadium. And those two teams will do battle again twice more this week. Tonight it's a 6:35 start, and Thursday, tomorrow, 11:05 is the start in the morning. It's because it's School Spirit Day, so they've timed it so some of the school classes can come down to the ballpark. Meantime, the Toronto Blue Jays will be aiming to win 2 in a row when they face the Red Sox in Boston tonight. Right-hander Max Scherzer will pitch for the Jays, who opened their 3-game series in Boston last night with a 6-1 win. Seattle defeated Baltimore 3-1, also in the majors. And now over to the World Cup of Soccer. Yesterday, the stars shining brightly. Lionel Messi, for instance, scoring 3 times to tie the Cup's all-time scoring record with 16 goals at a World Cup, as Argentina blanked Algeria 3-0. We also saw Erling Haaland score twice in his World Cup debut as Norway defeated Iraq 4-1. Kylian Mbappe scored twice as France downed Senegal 3-1. Austria and Jordan played the late game where Austria had the 3-1 win there. Today, amongst all of the games, will be one played in Toronto. So we got one of the Canadian games tonight. The Group L underdogs Ghana and Panama will be playing in Toronto. Then we will see Portugal play DR Congo in Houston. England is meeting Croatia in Arlington, Texas. And Uzbekistan plays Colombia in the late game in Mexico City. That's your CFAX 1070 Sports. It's 6:38. CFAX 1070 traffic. Hey, thanks to texters for letting us know that the overnight road work on the Bay Street Bridge that had it closed both directions overnight has now lifted. It was supposed to go to 7, but I guess they finished early, so you can now travel both directions on the Bay Street Bridge. There will be another overnight closure tonight and then tomorrow night as well, so watch out for that. 7 p.m. for both starts. Word of a collision on the Trans-Canada Highway. This is sort of southbound right after the sort of Adams Storage on-ramp. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense, right? You know where Adams Storage is? If you see anything there, let me know at 7:10:10. I just have a sense that there is a collision there, but I don't know anything about it. So let me know at 7:10:10 if you have any updates. I'd love some eyeballs on the road. If you could do so hands-free and safely, of course. So that collision, Trans-Canada Highway heading inbound. And then for the weather forecast, it is mainly sunny for today. The odd bit of cloud. A little bit of breeze. This morning, mostly, it's going to kind of ease off as the day goes on. Highs of 22, a little cooler by the Juan de Fuca Strait. Clear skies tonight, lows to 11. And then tomorrow, we're starting to see a bit of the heat come back a little bit. Sunshine and a high of 25, although cooler by the water. Mix of sun and cloud tomorrow. Friday, highs of 24. Saturday and Sunday, both temperatures into the mid-20s with some sunshine. So, yeah, it's just kind of staying fairly consistently warm and sunny for the next few days. Right now, it is 11 degrees at the Victoria International Airport. Oh, and by the way, the CFAX Morning Show is brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps, where for a comfortable home no matter the season and big savings in your heating bill, talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. On the markets right now, the opening bells are just ringing. We don't have any results from today, but I can tell you that in Toronto yesterday, S&P TSX closed up 113 points to 35,386. The Dow in New York was up by 328 to 51,999. The Nasdaq slipped 307 to 26,376, and the Canadian dollar overseas trading at 71.4 cents US.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Oh, quick update here. Texture says it might not actually be a collision on the Trans-Canada Highway. Looks like they're doing morning paving on that side across from Adams Storage, putting up a lot of dust and smoke, and that is slowing down the traffic.
Okay.
Have a great morning, says the texter, and have a great morning to you. Thank you so much for texting. So maybe not a collision, but that road
Construction
work
does
there.
make sense.
Yeah.
All through there, it's still 60.
And then this texter here says, no collision on the highway. They just picked the rush hour to shut it down. But that's what's going on there. So watch out for, I guess, some paving work and a bunch of dust kicked up on the roads right by.
Bay and Tyee is open for you early.
Yes, exactly. So there you go. It's some are good, some are bad. You win some, you lose some when it comes to traffic. You also might win some and lose some today when it comes to winning some tickets to Jazz Fest. Can I tell you about this?
Of course.
I love the contest we've got going on right now. We're making you scat like the Jazz Cats for tickets to see Jazz Fest shows, because Jazz Fest, the TD International Jazz Fest here in Victoria, starts Friday, and then it goes for 10 full days in venues all across downtown Victoria. We got the Esquimalt Bullen Park outdoor field, so much going on. And if you're wondering, what does this sound like? What do I do for this contest? Well, can I play you what happened yesterday?
Of course.
This was amazing. So here's our first attempt yesterday at a listener calling in to just do a jazz scat. That's amazing.
Wow.
There you go. That was yesterday's winner.
She was impressive.
Very impressive.
And she kept going. She would have kept going had you not stopped the music.
I wonder. I don't think she was showing any signs of stopping.
She was feeling the groove.
Yeah. That's
Very
incredible.
Impressive. So you got to beat that. Well, you don't have to beat it, but you got to match it anyway.
You can do whatever you want. It's jazz.
You got to scat. Well, that's true, actually. You do you in jazz.
Yeah. But I got even more exciting news, Lisa. That's just after the 8 o'clock news, sports, traffic, weather, business. After we're finished all that, we will, all the things. We'll do all the things. And then we'll take your call, random caller at 250-386-1161. We'll if as long as you scat, you will get the tickets.
Okay.
But we have a bonus pair to give away today.
Oh, nice.
Because we have one of the Jazz Fest artists joining the show at 7:50 this morning.
Yes.
Alicia Biro is going to be one of the performers at Jazz Fest.
Young jazz giant.
Young jazz giant. I love that. She's got a lot of local influences. She went from Vancouver Island to Los Angeles to pursue her dream. So she's got a local roots, but big international ambitions. And she's going to be joining us at 7:50. So we got a bonus pair of tickets to give away when she's joining us. So.
And she's got a gorgeous voice. So it's early.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get her to scat for you.
There you go. Maybe she could give us an example. But we'll just if you call it during her interview, we'll give you some bonus tickets to that, because we've got so much happening with Jazz Fest. That's coming up, right?
We'll take it.
But right now, let's check the news, and here is Lisa Best with the headlines.
Thank you. CBC says nothing has changed in its strategy following the announcement of the departure of Hockey Night in Canada. CBC Sports Executive Director Chris Wilson notes that while it's the end of an era, the broadcaster now has the opportunity to take its sports coverage to the next level. Wilson says the broadcaster plans to lean in hard and do what it can to share stories of Canadian athletes. Sportsnet and CBC issued a joint statement yesterday confirming its 12-year NHL partnership was coming to an end. Souk on the radar, not a good way, following news of that Canada Border Service Agency's investigation earlier this year that led to the seizure of 22 illegal guns, 8 suppressors, and illegal drugs from the home that community. The raid happened April 22nd. 15 long guns, 7 handguns, other prohibited weapons, and controlled substances were found. The individual that was arrested was interviewed, but then released pending further investigation. And the strain continues to mount for Canadian households to put food on the table. A recent survey found 70% of respondents says they have changed their shopping habits due to rising prices. 85% use grocery reward programs, but about half of those feel the programs do little or nothing to offset the price increases. Despite all this, 50% say the increase has had a moderate impact on their monthly budget and report adapting without major stressors. That's your news to 646.
Thank you, Lisa. We will continue to watch and see how things might slow down on the Trans-Canada Highway because of some paving work that's going on near the Adams Storage. So we'll do our traffic check in just a moment. If you got any updates, let us know at 7:10:10. Then we're going to talk to BC's representative for children and youth, weighing in on the government's new Child and Youth Well-Being Action Plan. What is it and what do we need to know about it? That's next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Until June 27th, you can lock in for love with the BC SPCA Victoria and raise money to help injured, homeless, and vulnerable animals right here in Victoria. Until July 19th, downtown Victoria is alive with free soccer-themed events, live match screenings, and more. Details at downtownvictoria.ca.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. This Saturday from 10 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon, so 10 to 1. The first 200 kids aged 12 and under are invited to decorate a free brownie for Dad at all Thrifty Foods locations. On the roads, we've been sort of monitoring what seems to be construction on the Trans-Canada Highway as you head in right around about where Adams Storage is, kind of by the Burnside Bridges area. That stretch of road, there is a bit of paving work or something going on to do with the big construction project there, kicking up a lot of dust, causing a bit of a slowdown. So look out for that. A little extra slow on the Trans-Canada Highway coming into Victoria right now, but it seems just to be that construction. Bay Street Bridge has reopened a little early, both directions, after an overnight closure, but watch out, it'll close again tonight at 7 p.m. and then the next night at 7 p.m. These overnight closures for Bay Street Bridge work all this week. BC Ferries, no sailing waits. Weather forecast looking good. We've got just sort of sunny, warm conditions right through the next 7 days. Today's a high of 22, cooler by the water. We're seeing a little wind this morning again. Overnight lows will continue to be around 11, 12 degrees for the next few nights. But the temperatures in the daytime do get a bit warmer as we head towards the weekend. We'll be back to the mid-20s by tomorrow and through the weekend. Right now, here are some of the temperatures we're seeing. In Colwood by the water, it's 12 degrees. In Brentwood Bay on the Saanich Peninsula, it's also 12 degrees.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
Well, let's figure out what the government's new Child and Youth Well-Being Action Plan is all about and get a review from BC's representative for children and youth, somebody who, I think wanted to see this happen. Jennifer Charlesworth is joining us on the line. It's Jennifer Charlesworth. Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Good morning.
Thanks so much for joining us and helping give us some context to this. So I saw this in the news, but I'll have to admit, I need a bit of context for this and where this comes from and what it does. So I was hoping you could kind of help us out here.
You bet. So So 2 years ago, we released a report. It's called Don't Look Away. And that was the result of an investigation into the death of a little boy that we called Colby, an 11-year-old child who died in the hands of his ministry-approved caregivers. We looked closely at his story, his family's story, and the stories of 14 other children and identified some key systemic issues. So his death was an absolute horrific tragedy, and we also saw that there were patterns of concerning actions, practices, policies, legislation in the broader system that impact thousands of children. So we recommended to government at that time that in order to honor Colby's sacred story, they needed to make some big changes, as well as some short-term, quick impact, let's get going. And one of those changes was to start coordinating services across government, not just with the Ministry of Children and Family Development. And we called for what we call a Child and Youth Wellbeing Strategy and Action Plan and a way to measure outcomes, and that's what was delivered by government yesterday.
Now, using that example of Colby, as you mentioned, this child in foster care who tragically died, what broke down in that case that gets addressed in this action plan? Maybe just, I don't know, to use that as an example of how things could change, how things could change because of what's been announced here.
Yes, excellent question. So Colby's family had interaction with multiple systems. So he was born with disabilities and he had significant medical needs. So the healthcare system. His family was living in poverty. So there was income assistance, housing precarity, food insecurity, family violence, intergenerational violence, mental health concerns, and substance use concerns. So when you bring all of those things together, and let me be clear, it was a loving family that was trying very hard to overcome their history and their current challenges in order to raise their children. So if you see all of those systems are independent systems, siloed systems. Income security is disconnected from health care and prenatal care and postnatal care and anti-violence work and police-related victims response is disconnected from mental health counseling. So what we said was there were countless missed opportunities because the system was not coordinating and collaborating to see the bigger picture of this family and the way in which it might have helped. So the Child Wellbeing Plan, the intention behind it is that there will be much greater coordination between the various parts of the system to more effectively wrap around families that are struggling and to assist them before things get terribly bad, as they ended up getting with Colby and his family. So a little example that I find really powerful is when Colby left the hospital after being in the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit, no one thought to ask, do you have the money to purchase the specialized formula that your child is going to need? Do you have a safe bed, safe sleeping arrangement? All those kinds of things that just gives families, it's not a crisis yet, but it is going to be a crisis if they don't have the supports that they need. So family living in poverty don't have the resources to make sure that the child is getting their nutritional needs met because they can't afford the specialized formula. They water it down. So simple little things like that cumulatively over time become more and more stressful for families. And then, of course, we did experience and see significant substance use and mental health concerns as time went on and housing precarity. So those kinds of opportunities of intervening to help a family a little bit to prevent the cascading effect of harms over time.
Now, one of the big things you just mentioned there is that better coordinating of support for children and families across those different ministries and services. Now, government's pretty famous for not working necessarily well with its different departments. I mean, I think anybody who's had to deal with government bureaucracy and you fill out a form and you're like, I just filled out this form for this department. Why am I doing this again for this? You know, there's all these different examples of how there's not a lot of coordination. It seems, at least from us, the kind of like user of government services side of things. So how much faith do you have in this actually happening? Or how do you overcome those inherent disconnections in government?
You've nailed it. That is the big challenge, and it's one of the reasons I think that it's taken 2 years since we released our report to get the action plan, because you can put a plan on paper, but if you don't have the mindset and the approach behind it, the attitudes and beliefs that this actually is really, really important and this is how we're going to do it, you're going to keep replicating the same old thing that we've had forever, which is, as you say, you tell your story a dozen times, you think you're opening a door, but it closes in your face. So the intention here, I think, is they've taken time to figure this out amongst the ministries and amongst the public authorities in order to have a much better chance at it. And they're starting to use things like Citizen Services and Connected Services BC to streamline, so using technology to start to streamline those entry points and those connection points. So I am, as I often say, because I'm an independent office, I am optimistic but cautiously so. So we will be monitoring very closely to see if the changes happen in the lived reality of the young people and the families that we all care about.
Yeah, and we are talking to BC's representative for children and youth, weighing in on the government's new Child and Youth Well-Being Action Plan, which, as we've just discussed, is a critical thing because, you know, we've had these cases of tragedies with children in care in BC, and how do we better serve those children? How do we better have, avoid those outcomes? And that's at least what this plan is trying to address. But as you said, I guess it's good on paper. Let's see if it actually meets the needs, and you'll be watching for that very thing and giving us that update.
I certainly will.
All right, Jennifer Charlesworth, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing some thoughts on this. Anything else you wanted to add or anything else we missed?
The one thing I would like to add is that we focused a lot on government, which is absolutely important. They have a responsibility to the citizens of British Columbia. But the other thing is that if we really center the well-being of children, if we want all children to experience love, connection, belonging, and a sense of possibility in their lives, that's not just government's responsibility. That's us as family members, as neighbors, as coaches, as teachers. So we've all got a responsibility to the young people in our lives and in our midst. So, let's not just look to government. We also have to look to ourselves to be supportive of our young people.
Good stuff. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, we'll take a quick break here. We've got your 7 o'clock news with Lisa coming up next. We'll do our traffic and weather update as well. It does look like that Trans-Canada Highway situation we were talking about is improving, at least according to texters who've just recently gone through there and say it looks like whatever was going on seems to have wrapped up. So we'll give you the update there. If you have any updates for us, text us at 71010.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 7 o'clock on this Wednesday, June 17th, where we got more sunshine. The wind is starting to ease off a little bit today as well as we get a little further into it. We'll get you the full forecast in a moment. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
It's an ominous anniversary coming up, almost 5 years since a wildfire killed 2, nearly wiped out the village of Lytton off the map. Jennifer Thoss, councillor with the village in BC's Fraser Canyon, says it's been critical, costly recovery process for them. She says the grift of Lytton has grown into a systemic problem, partly due to what she sees as a lack of oversight by higher levels of government.
Inevitably, you have people that offer services and want to capitalize on it, and sometimes well-intentioned, but they're making money. Unfortunately, the nature of the beast is that people see dollar signs and they want to capitalize on it.
Thus is among several critics who contrast a roster of recovery staff that have been costing in the range of $40,000 to $100,000 each month with what they see as a lack of progress actually happening on the ground. The BC government taking that new approach to provide supports for children and youth, as you just heard on CFAX. The Minister of Children and Family Development, Jody Wickens, yesterday announcing government's response to the Don't Look Away report that's called for a coordinated government response action to better support vulnerable kids and families here in BC.
Children and families do not experience government one ministry at a time. They experience one life. Our responsibility is to make sure that the supports around them work together. The Child and Youth Wellbeing Action Plan and Outcomes Framework is a cross-government approach to improving the lives of children, youth, and families in our province. This action plan provides a clear roadmap to improve how we deliver programs and services across our ministries.
The Wellbeing Plan will look at public feedback and stakeholders to help inform how the action plan should evolve. Stats Canada reporting a rising trend in intimate partner violence. The agency tracked a 19% increase in police-reported intimate partner violence between 2014 and 22. Over that period, StatsCan says there was a 163% spike in reports of intimate partner sexual assault and a 38% increase in what it calls indecent or harassing communications. Conservative MP Anna Roberts says data on violence against women is skewed because many women are just afraid to speak up.
We've talked to many individuals that run shelters. The spaces are limited. There isn't enough safe spaces for women. So women, alternatively, they end up going back into the relationship and the circle and the cycle starts all over again.
Roberts believes in order to get accurate data, women have to be given the protection they deserve. A parliamentary committee studying medical assistance in dying for people with mental illness expected to deliver its report to Parliament today.
The group of MPs and senators was tasked with determining whether Canada is ready to expand assisted dying eligibility to people whose sole underlying condition is a mental illness. That's set to happen next March, but many witnesses who testified urged the committee to permanently exclude people with psychiatric conditions from accessing MAID. The committee has faced criticism over claims that it chose to hear from people who are opposed to MAID for mental illness. Justice Minister Sean Fraser plans to review the report over the summer. Naira Ahmed, The Canadian Press.
Well, speaking of summer at Parliament, a local member of Parliament wants the House of Commons to sit into the summer months, if necessary, to ensure that legislation is properly studied. Green Party leader, Saanich and Gulf Islands MP Elizabeth May rose in opposition to an omnibus bill connected to the federal budget. May says the Liberals have picked the practice of steamrolling.
And I find over and over again that there's been nothing like the current government for moving fast. And there's been nothing like the current government for treating Parliament with a kind of a casual contempt that, as a Canadian and someone who deeply believes in Westminster parliamentary democracy, I personally find offensive. I may be the only one, but I think Canadians want to see this place respected and want to know that every bill has been properly studied. And for one, I'd be prepared to say if properly studying bills means we cut into the summer and we're in Ottawa longer to do it, that's the right thing to do.
Elizabeth May has issues with Bill C-30 because she says it changes pesticide regulations. That's your news to 7:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question: do you think clean drinking water should be a basic human right for all Canadians? Over 80% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com or the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 7:06.
Thank you, Lisa. We've got a mostly sunny day today. The winds will start to ease off a little bit. It was kind of breezy day yesterday. If you were near the Juan de Fuca Strait, you probably noticed those winds quite strong. Those power outages on the West Shore. There was a lot going on yesterday, but the winds are kind of easing off today. Just sunshine, highs of 22. It's 11 right now. We've got a full forecast in just a moment. Let's talk CFAX 1070 sports. We'll start with the World Cup. 4 matches today, including one in Toronto. So we got a Canadian soil match. It's not featuring Canada. It's going to be Ghana and Panama. It's the second of 6 matches to be played at the waterfront venue. Also, I think there's going to be a lot of England fans in the Victoria area. I'm just hazarding a guess. England, its first game of this World Cup. It's going to be against Croatia in Arlington, Texas. That's one of the games on today. Tomorrow is when Canada plays. And I got exciting news for you because CFAX 1070 will broadcast the FIFA World Cup. The Canada versus Qatar game from Vancouver will be right here on these airwaves if you're looking for a place to listen. If you're driving around, you just want to keep in touch with the game, well, you can do it right here on CFAX. Kickoff's at 3. You can listen to FIFA World Cup on CFAX 1070, also available on the iHeartRadio app. For last night, it was big in the World Cup because Lionel Messi was in action, one of soccer's big stars. He scored 3 times to tie the Cup's all-time scoring record with 16 goals at the World Cup, as Argentina blanked Algeria 3-0. We also saw Norway overpowering Iraq 4-1, France down Senegal 3-1, and Austria beat Jordan 3-1. And over to baseball, where the Victoria Harbour Cats with a big 17-7 defeat of the Redmond Dudes yesterday. The Cats and Dudes will battle again twice more, once tonight and once tomorrow in the morning, actually. It's one of those school spirit days, so a couple more games for those two teams. In the majors, Toronto Blue Jays aiming to win 2 in a row when they face the Boston Red Sox in Boston tonight. Toronto with the 6-1 win yesterday over the Red Sox, and Seattle took Baltimore 3-1. That's your CFAX 1070 Sports. It is 7:09. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. This Saturday, from 10 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. The first 200 kids aged 12 and under are invited to decorate a free brownie for Dad at all locations because, of course, the next day, Sunday, will be Father's Day. All right, traffic and weather. The thing we've been kind of following this morning was they're doing some kind of construction or something on the Trans-Canada Highway right around the Burnside Bridges, where Adams Storage is. I don't know for sure, but maybe connected to the fact that it's a giant construction zone with the bus lane widening continuing to go in that area. It was slowing things down a little earlier, kicking up a lot of dust and making a big commotion, but it seems to be over now, so things are returning to normal on the Trans-Canada Highway through that construction zone. Do obey the construction speed limit, though, which still is in effect. Bay Street Bridge was closed overnight, but it's reopened and will be closed again tonight starting at 7 p.m. Watch out for that. And for the weather forecast today, it's going to be a mainly sunny one with a little wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait still this morning, but it's easing off and it's going to become lighter later this morning. So those big winds of yesterday don't look like they'll factor into the forecast today. Still making things feel a little cooler by the water, though. A high of 22, 17, though, by the Juan de Fuca Strait if you're right along the coast. Clear skies tonight. We will see lows down to 11. Sunshine tomorrow, highs of 25. Cooler by the water. Friday, sunshine, maybe a few clouds, highs of 24. Cooler by the water. And the Saturday, Sunday forecast is looking pretty much the same. Sunshine with temperatures in the low to mid 20s. CFAX 1070 Business News, getting our first look at the market so far in Toronto. The S&P TSX has started the day up 74 points to 35,463. The Dow in New York is up 193 to 52,193. NASDAQ is up 71 to 26,447. And the Canadian dollar at 71.4 cents U.S., which is virtually unchanged from yesterday's close. It's pretty much at the same spot.
Let's get started.
Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
At this time yesterday, we were talking about that fire in one of, not just Victoria, but Canada's oldest Chinese temples. This is that fire on Government Street that we were talking about. Well,
Yes.
bit of an update. Victoria's Fire Chief Dan Atkinson was providing some new details about the blaze at the Tam Kung Temple on Government. He says that they've ruled it as not suspicious. They have only done a preliminary investigation, but they can say that it was accidental in nature. So that's one of the updates. The fire broke out of the building's top floor, which is where the temple is. So this building, Smoking Lily is the t-shirt shop in the bottom.
At the base, yeah.
Yeah, and then
The main
there's
floor.
at the very top floor is the temple itself.
On the third, yes.
Yeah, and that is where things broke out. Crews apparently had to get into some of the walls and ceiling spaces because the fire got into those empty spaces.
And it's that kind of building because it's
Yeah.
so old.
Lots
So
of nooks and crannies.
hard to put out.
So they had to kind of tear into some of the building and open up the walls. So a lot of extensive damage to the temple itself. That's sort of bringing up a question now, how much damage to the artifacts? Because this temple, we mentioned yesterday, it was established in 1905, but this current building that it's in was 1912.
Okay.
And it served as a place of worship, but also of cultural preservation, and a lot of Chinatown artifacts were in there.
Yes.
And there's a lot of concern over the fate of some of those artifacts. And then the other thing is for the rest of the building, even though they were able to get the flames up pretty quick and they were able to, save the building as a whole, a lot of water damage because, they were pouring water at the top floor and a lot of that goes down.
A trickle-down effect, yes, with gravity.
Yeah, so there's a lot of damage still to assess there. But the update is accidental in nature is what it's been deemed, and a lot of damage to the temple itself.
That's the main thing as to what caused it, whether it was, a simple candle or incense burning, or
Who knows,
whether it
yeah.
was electrical, but at least it wasn't something, suspicious. You never know what's going to happen. And I'm glad it was an accident, but I'm sad that you just know you're bracing yourself to learn exactly what was lost because something went up in the flames, something integral to the heritage, which is really quite devastating for the community.
Well, we were talking about it yesterday, so just wanted to give everybody the update there after the fire chief gave that to us yesterday. Texter at 71010 says, "Good morning. What a great morning for the R2AK race. This is the race to Alaska."
Oh, yes.
I didn't realize this was in town, but it is. It starts at 12 at the Causeway today. Some amazing souls are attempting to get to Alaska by sailing, paddling, pedaling, rowing, anything human-powered on the ocean.
Right.
Interesting.
You can't use an engine.
So they are human-powering their way up to Alaska, and this race is moving through Victoria right now.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
cool. Yeah, so it's something to see. If you see the action on the water, that's what's going down. Intrepid.
Yeah. Neat.
We'll watch.
Thanks for the update, Texter. I'm going to look more into that. But if you're down around the Victoria's Inner Harbor today, maybe you'll see that. The Texter indicates around noon.
Cool.
7:15, over to the headlines. Here's Lisa.
Well, we begin with G7 talk. Prime Minister Mark Carney has meeting scheduled with the leaders of India and Egypt today on his final day at the summit in France. The summit was delayed a day after the U.S. president announced that the White House would host a UFC fight on June 14th, which is Flag Day, also his 80th birthday. Carney was asked by reporters why he and Trump had no bilateral meetings at the summit and responded by saying, quote, there's no message in that. But of course, there was a hot mic moment where we did catch the two of them chatting yesterday. And of course, more being unpacked about that. Vancouver fans rushing both beer and staff to the front lines. The World Cup's War on Thirst. The manager of sports bar Dublin Calling, which seats 500 in Vancouver, says he's never seen anything like it before. This unfolded on Saturday when Australia's soccer fans filled the multi-level building during Australia's match against Turkey. Tyler Brose says it was the first time ever he felt the bar was going to run out of suds, with reinforcements of staff and beer being rushed to Granville Street for the tournament. He says he and other Vancouver bar operators are bracing for the match tomorrow at BC Place tomorrow afternoon. That's Canada and Qatar. The next 5 matches in the city after that. It's not just Vancouver, it's Boston too. Scottish fans apparently almost drinking Boston dry. And of course, there was that moment of Norway rowing itself up the escalator. That was pretty cool. So a lot of fun things coming out of this event. And that signing ceremony is set for Friday for the Memorandum of Understanding between the U.S. and Iran. The agreement calls for negotiations to continue for 60 days to reach a final agreement to end the war, which has been going on 15 weeks. Iran's nuclear program will be subject to those negotiations. And that is your news to 717.
One of the other stories you've been telling us about, Lisa, is just the dry conditions, the drought-like conditions in the forecast for places like Vancouver Island. We've got BC's Forest Minister, Ravi Parmar, joining us next to talk about how the Wildfire Service is preparing and what he's expecting. And of course, this goes beyond Vancouver Island as well, because in Kelowna, there's that wildfire situation we've been hearing about. You've been telling us about that as well, Lisa.
Yes,
so
moments to get out.
yeah, the dramatic scenes from the Kelowna area. We're going to get an update from the Forest Minister next. CFAX at 70 traffic and weather. It is 7:20 here on a Wednesday morning, and the roads are looking a little more typical now compared to about an hour ago, where we had some construction stuff on the Trans-Canada Highway near the Burnside Bridges stretch that was slowing things up. But that seems like it's eased off, and things are flowing pretty much normally now, unless I'm wrong, in which case text me at 71010. Let me know if it's still an issue, but it looks like the Trans-Canada Highway's flowing per usual. We have normal backups, though, from the West Shore into Victoria right now. No other problems right now, other than all of the construction-related delays, which have been on all this week, but they're going to be on again. Just as a quick reminder, Cook Street southbound between Hillside and Bay is closed. And then further down Cook Street at Pandora, full closure. You can't go either direction on Cook Street there. Bay Street Bridge is open, though, after some overnight road work. They finished that. In the weather forecast, mainly sunny today. A chance of a bit of breeze this morning off the Juan de Fuca Street, but it's easing off compared to yesterday. We aren't expecting the kind of strong winds that were causing all those power outages and issues off our coast yesterday. So calming down a bit, just a mainly sunny day. Highs of 22, a little cooler by the water. Overnight lows of 11 tonight with a few clouds, but otherwise staying mostly clear.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, fire season is heating up in BC. We've got drought and dry conditions here on the island. We've got a active fire causing some drama in Kelowna. Here to talk about it, Ravi Parmar, BC's Minister of Forests, and of course, local member of the legislature. Ravi Parmar, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Ryan. Good morning to all you listeners. Thanks for having me on.
Let's start in Kelowna, where people have had to flee a wildfire situation. What's going on? What's the latest here?
Yeah, you bet. Folks in West Kelowna know all too well the difficult challenges associated with wildfires, and some of your listeners may have tuned into the press conference that we had yesterday where we provided our summer seasonal outlook, and it was literally minutes later that we saw a fire in Calamere Park, which is a regional park in West Kelowna, light up that community fairly quickly. Evacuation orders for about roughly 400 households went into effect. Our tactical teams on the ground moved very quickly, and this was a fire in the Wildland Urban Interface. And so the leadership of Chief Broland and the team at the West Kelowna Fire Department, we were following their lead. So very pleased that BC Wildfire Services was able to respond and support the leadership of the local fire detachment, and very happy to provide an update this morning to your listeners, Ryan, that the fire is being held. The evacuation order has been lifted. There still are some evacuation alerts, so people within the vicinity of the area should still be mindful that they may be asked to leave again, but very pleased with the work that the fire department and local crews and BC Wildfire Service were able to do on the ground. And it's, I think, just a reminder that we are in an active fire season, and this could happen anywhere, including here on the island as well.
Okay, well, that's good to know that those people who had to evacuate briefly in that West Kelowna area can go back home. They got to be on alert, but they've had their evacuation order downgraded to just an alert as we continue to follow that wildfire story. But like you just said, yeah, we're in the middle of also just sort of assessing the situation for BC and what this wildfire season might look like. Let's talk about the island. What did we hear about the conditions here?
Yeah, really, the update that we provided, not just for the island, but for the entire province, is there's really three factors that are going to prolong a challenging fire season here in British Columbia, in particular in the South Coast, and that's drought, low snowpack, and the absence of spring rain. We got a little bit of January, but I wouldn't say enough to be able to really have an impact, though we're still at the halfway point of the month, so there's always hoping that we can get some more, but based off of the weather trends we're seeing, we're just not necessarily seeing enough precipitation for it to have an impact. And so I would say for your listeners, Ryan, we are seeing a lot of comparisons to the 2017, 2018, and 2021 wildfire seasons. One of the best investments we made was a predictive analysis team that does all the trends, looks at all the data, and they see those as kind of the comparisons. And so based off of the long-range forecast, we expect it's going to be a warmer than normal summer across much of British Columbia and Canada. And the amount of rain we expect, which is very little, will not help the drought conditions that we see. So we expect fire activity is expected to peak through July and August, which is going to result in a vigorous and difficult to control wildfires throughout much of the southern interior, and including on the south coast where we are as well.
Ravi, the anniversary of the Lytton wildfire that destroyed 90% of the town, the village, happens 13 days from now, that 5-year anniversary, which was June 30th, 2021. And we're still hearing stories. We've got stories in the news run today about people saying the rebuild has been, hit and miss at best. It's a cautionary tale, really, for the province. So how do we build from that and make sure this doesn't happen again? And how do we help Lytton?
Yeah, that's a great question, Lisa. I would say a couple of things. We're working on the ground with the community. I'm also as Minister of Forest, I'm also the minister responsible for archaeology, and we know that archaeology has been a challenge for that community as part of the rebuild. I've had an opportunity to visit Lytton a couple of times now and engage regularly with the mayor and council and their support of rebuilding their community. It's a beautiful community that just was devastated by that wildfire, which decimated the town. So working very hard to support the community in its rebuild. But I think you raise a very valuable point that what happened in Lytton certainly could happen elsewhere. And it's why we have to tackle the challenge of our wildland-urban interface areas. I live right next to Thetis Lake. I don't think I ever thought about a fire in Langford until I became the minister responsible for the BC Wildfire Service. So it's really important for your listeners listening in Langford or listening throughout British Columbia and coastal British Columbia that what happens in other communities in the impact of fires could happen in your community as well. And it's why it's so important that local communities are fire smarting, in particular, the role that individuals can play in fire smarting their properties. Download the BC Wildfire Service app. We've got lots of information there. Visit the Fire Smart BC website. And there's lots of tools, grants available for you to be able to fire smart your property. As an example, I like to barbecue in the summer. And so one of the things that we have to be mindful of is sometimes not having your barbecue right next to your house, because that can certainly put your property at risk.
Now, just back to, again, the message for Vancouver Islanders specifically, because sometimes I think we can get a little complacent because you watch these fires burning in the interior of BC, and, you do get wildfires here, of course, but we always, I don't know, sometimes I think because we can be a little wetter here, because we got a big reservoir and we don't have the same kind of, water concerns that some other areas have, those same sort of drought concerns. Sometimes I think we can be a bit complacent. But how? Just to close on this, as you did your update yesterday, you took a look at the conditions around BC, the wildfire risk around BC. What do Vancouver Islanders need to know about this year?
I want Vancouver Islanders to know that they need to be prepared for what may be a challenging wildfire season. We don't know exactly what we're walking into, but we are preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. Right now, there are 0 wildfires on Vancouver Island at the moment. They'll give it an hour or two, and there might be some that spark up. Really important, everyone continues to do their part. And if you don't believe that wildfire is a risk, I would just go and ask the residents of Wesley Ridge, and in particular Port Alberni, what wildfires meant to them last year. That Mount Underwood fire that both of you will remember and your listeners will remember from last year was the second largest fire ever recorded in Vancouver Island's history, geographically the size of the city of Victoria. And thankfully, it didn't impact any structures, but if it was a different wind direction and if we didn't have those logging road breaks, then it could have been a different situation. And so please do your part. Please remain vigilant. Know that fires can happen anywhere, including here on Vancouver Island, where, we're not used to them.
We got to leave it there because we're out of time, but there you go. Some thoughts on the wildfire season after an update from the BC government and the wildfire service yesterday that happened to coincide with the sudden evacuation of some homes in West Kelowna. And the update there is luckily that evacuation order has been lifted. The fire is being held, but we're already seeing those scenes play out in BC as we're not just heading towards, we're in the wildfire season here now. Ravi Parmar, BC's Minister of Forests, thanks again for chatting with us, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
All right, we'll take a break. We got the 7:30 news next on CFAX.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Until June 27th, you can lock in for love with the BC SPCA Victoria and raise money to help injured, homeless, and vulnerable animals right here in Victoria. Until July 19th, downtown Victoria is alive with free soccer-themed events, live match screenings, and more. Details at downtownvictoria.ca.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 7:31 on Wednesday, June 17th. Looking at a sunny day with a high eventually to 22 degrees. Right now it's 11 in Victoria. You know, give or take a few degrees depending on where you are. We'll get you a full forecast in just a moment, but right now here's Lisa with the news.
One day shy of this ominous anniversary, the Transportation Safety Board of Canada expected to release a report today on the Titan submersible. Remember that imploded on the descent to the wreck of the Titanic. That was June 18th, 2023.
The implosion killed the 5 people aboard the submersible, including the chief executive of OceanGate Expeditions, the company behind the voyage. The wreckage of the Titan was found on the ocean floor roughly 4 days after it vanished off the east coast of Newfoundland, about 300 meters from the wreckage of the Titanic.
The report last year from the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board found that faulty engineering led to the implosion and that the Titan would have been found sooner if OceanGate had followed standard guidance for emergency response. Well, speaking of emergencies, heading into what is historically the driest 2 months for southern Vancouver Island in the year, the province sharing an update yesterday on wildfire and drought conditions. Forest Minister Ravi Parmar, who you just heard live on CFAX, outlined what we can expect this summer.
The current warmth is expected to translate into above average temperatures throughout the next 2 months. These conditions, on top of the ongoing drought, are setting us up for an increase in wildfire activity as we enter the core of our wildfire season, particularly in the southern interior and south coast, where we must be ready for the chance of difficult to manage and aggressive wildfires.
Currently, we have no new active wildfires on Vancouver Island in the past 40 hours. Of course, that could change within the day. And there's a number of new starts today in the BC interior. The province is urging us to conserve water, too. An update on the wildfire and drought shows Vancouver Island is much drier than usual as we head into the summer months. Minister of Water, Land, Resource Stewardship, Randy Neal, says some people are having some fun with it.
We're even seeing some creative ways that people are trying to get the message out and be proactive, including a local contest in which neighbors have the best golden lawns in the boundaries Similkameen by not watering their lawns at all. And I can tell you just by looking at ours, it's well on its way to being golden.
Making lemonade out of lemons. Stage 3 water restrictions are coming to Comox Valley Regional District next week. Happens Tuesday. That means no lawn watering at any time on any day. No washing of vehicles or boats other than commercial car wash or car dealerships. No pressure washing driveways, boulevards. No filling of swimming pools, hot tubs, or garden ponds. The restrictions will apply to all homes in Comox, Courtney, Comox First Nation, and the Comox Valley Water Local Service Area. The move is due to BC Hydro's flow reduction on the Plantledge River. Despite repeated assertions that it wouldn't, a new report from the Washington Post says the U.S. President's White House ballroom bunker project won't be entirely privately funded.
President Trump has repeatedly promised that his massive new ballroom here at the White House would be paid for entirely by private donations, estimating that it will cost around $400 million. But the Washington Post is now reporting that the contractor building the ballroom puts the total price tag at $600 million, with the American taxpayer covering half of that bill.
Says the Prime Minister, Mark Carney maintains a preliminary peace agreement reached between Iran and the U.S. has a potential to be a game changer. Carney confirmed to CNN that he has reviewed the agreement and it actually exceeds his expectations. Speaking to reporters at the G7 summit, the Prime Minister urged that his memorandum of understanding creates a possibility of establishing lasting peace in the region.
Yes, there are risks. Yes, the accord has to be put into place, but the very fact of it and the fact that so many countries were involved in its development and are vested in its development does create knock-on effects, positive knock-on effects. And that's what I believe. And, of course, Canada will do what we can to support the realization of those.
Mark Carney also says there's no Canadian cash involved in this deal. That's your news at 7:35. So our CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning, we're asking, do you think clean drinking water should be a human right for all Canadians? Over 80% say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 7:37.
Thank you, Lisa. Let's take a look at the weather real quick. We've got sunshine today, maybe the odd bit of cloud, but mostly sunny with highs eventually hitting 22 degrees. Right now it's 12. We've just gone up a degree as the official temperature in Victoria. And we'll see a little less wind today after some troublesome winds causing some power outages yesterday. We won't see that again today. Full forecast to come. Over to the sports, where locally in baseball, let's start there, where the Victoria Harbour Cats with a big win, 17-7 over the Redmond Dudes yesterday at home at the Royal Athletic Park, Wilson's Group Stadium. Those two teams battle twice more this week. Tonight, it's a 6:35 start, again at Royal Athletic Park, Wilson's Group Stadium. And then tomorrow, it's a school spirit day, so they're going to start that game at 11:05. Toronto Blue Jays in the majors, aiming to win a second in a row when they face the Boston Red Sox tonight. Max Scherzer will be pitching for the Jays. The Jays opened up the 3-game series against Boston last night with a 6-1 win. And Seattle downed Baltimore 3-1, also in the majors. Over to the World Cup of Soccer, where we got 4 matches today, including one in Toronto. So we got a Canadian match. It's not involving Team Canada, but it's on Canadian soil. Group L underdogs Ghana and Panama will be taking on each other in that game. Also, England plays its first game today against Croatia amongst the events today. That one is going to be in Arlington, Texas. Then tomorrow, of course, it is Team Canada, their second game of the World Cup against Qatar. This will be the one in Vancouver. And CFAX 1070 will be bringing you that game live on radio, starting with the kickoff at 3. Yesterday, amongst the highlights, we saw Lionel Messi, one of the biggest names in soccer, scoring 3 times to tie the World Cup's all-time scoring record. So he now has 16 goals at various World Cups, if you spread them all out, and he got 3 of them yesterday as Argentina blanked Algeria 3-0. Also, Erling Haaland scored twice in his World Cup debut as Norway overpowered Iraq 4-1. Kylian Mbappe scored twice as France downed Senegal 3-1, and Austria beat Jordan 3-1 as well. That's the World Cup, and right now it's 7:39. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It is 7:40. Things are looking fairly typical on the morning commute. Fairly heavy volume delays from the West Shore to Victoria, but no crashes or accidents causing anything. Lots of road work to tell you about. We got the Cook Street problems. Southbound between Hillside and Bay still closed for pouring the concrete for those bike lanes. Can't go southbound on Cook at Hillside. You also can't go any direction on Cook Street. Full closure at Pandora between Pandora and Mason. That's been the case all this week. That's just continuing, letting you know about that. For the BC ferries, no sailing waits. Everything's looking good there. And for the weather forecast, it's a little calmer today. We don't have the winds of yesterday off the Juan de Fuca Strait. Mainly sunny day with temperatures up to 22. Still a little breezy and cooler by the water, but just not quite as... the winds won't be nearly as exciting. Hopefully no power outages and all that stuff that was happening yesterday. Clear skies tonight, lows down to 11. Then sunshine tomorrow, highs of 25. Again, cooler by the water. Same story for Friday. Mix of sun and cloud with highs of the mid-20s, cooler by the water. And then we stay with sunshine and temperatures into the mid-20s for the weekend. Right now in Victoria, I mentioned that 12 degrees was the temperature, give or take a couple, and that's kind of what we're seeing out there. We've got 15 degrees at Brentwood Bay right now, and we've got 12 degrees in Oak Bay by the water. On the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto up 140 this hour to 35,529. The Dow in New York is up 218 to 52,218. NASDAQ is up 104 to 26,480. Canadian dollar at 71.4 cents US, which is basically where it was yesterday. So I think, in theory, down a fraction of a cent, but pretty much where it was.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
We want you to scat for Jazz Fest tickets. That's going to be coming up just after the 8 o'clock news, Lisa. Another listener performing for us their own freestyle scat.
Very nice. The first one, hit it out of the park.
Oh, amazing. Great winner yesterday.
Setting the bar high.
And just as a reminder, this is Burton Cummings doing an example of what we're talking about.
She's come undone.
Scatting, jazz scatting.
Smooth.
Yeah, just do that kind of thing for us. You can just make it up as you go. But I got exciting news for you.
What?
We're not just giving away that pair of tickets. It's a 4-pack, by the way, coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. We also are interviewing in moments one of the Jazz Fest artists who will be coming to our city.
Wonderful.
But is from Vancouver Island originally, is now pursuing dreams of music elsewhere in the world. But Alicia Biro, one of the Jazz Fest artists, is going to be just on the phone with us in a few moments' time. And I have a 4-pack of tickets to give away to see her show.
Okay.
So we're going to get to that in just a few moments. So we'll take your call right after the interview. So just get ready. I'm going to give you the number, 250-386-1161. It's 250-386-1161. We'll take your call for the contest after 8, but also for that sneaky bonus 4-pack of tickets for the TD Victoria International Jazz Fest. It all kicks off Friday. It's going to be taking place for the 10 days after that. Downtown Victoria, various venues. We got the big outdoor stage in Bullen Park in Esquimalt, which is quite fun to go see these outdoor shows. And the weather forecast could not be better for seeing some stuff this weekend. Saturday, Sunday, just nothing but sunshine. Temperatures in the mid-20s, just perfect. It looks like the sunshine continues into next week as well. Pretty ideal temperatures for these outdoor stages.
For 10 days.
Yeah, just got to keep it up for 10 days. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, hey, texter at 71010 says, hey, recognizing it's Icelandic Independence Day today.
What?
Call out to all the Icelandic people and people with Icelandic ancestry that live on the island.
The only Iceland I know, the only word is Íslendingadagurinn, which is the Icelandic festival held in Gimli, Manitoba every year.
Can you say that again? Because it was so nice.
Íslendingadagurinn.
Oh, I like that.
I think I have that right because it's been many years since I've actually had to say it. But phenomenal country. If you've never been to Iceland, we have Rocky Mountains and we have nature. Their nature is on steroids.
Well, they look like a moonscape sometimes, like you're on a different planet.
But it looks like that, but that's always seems to be the photography, but it's so vastly different. And they have 130 active volcanoes. Not going off, thankfully. Well, we have had, incidents recently, but phenomenal people. Just an incredible place to visit. Summer is vastly different from winter, of course, and I've never seen so many shades of green. Oh, the only thing that rivals it is Ireland, and of course here in Victoria.
Wow. Okay. Icelandic Independence Day today, according to our texter at 71010. What's happening in the news? Here's Lisa at 7:45.
A report is in on North Saanach's spot on the BC housing list, or lack of. The municipality apparently well below its first housing target of 60 new units, only delivering a dozen. An independent external advisor was brought in by the province to review the districts of North Saanich land use planning and housing policies. The final report, which was provided to North Saanich yesterday, includes 19 policy and planning recommendations. A strike by municipal workers in Colwood apparently narrowly averted. The city posted on the website it has reached a tentative deal with the CUPE, Local 374. Jason Johnson, a spokesperson for the union, says the deal recognizes the important contributions of employees and supports their health and well-being, as well as helping residents and businesses who rely on the services. Details of the tentative agreement will be released once the whole shebang is ratified. Langford continues its move towards municipality-contracted curbside garbage collection service. Council is proposing a new system where Langford wouldn't operate collection itself. It wouldn't be funded by property taxes. Rather, the city would seek a request for proposals from a private sector to provide the service and bill households directly for it. The City of Colwood also participating alongside with Langford in the upcoming process to gather information about options for all residents. In its news release, it's in the early stages. No final decisions made yet, and no service provider has been selected, so it's early days for this project. That's your news to 747.
Well, her bio says this 26-year-old was raised in the wilds of Vancouver Island. We're talking about Alicia Biro, who is a singer, songwriter, pianist, one of the jazz musicians coming to Victoria for the TD Victoria International Jazz Fest. Her show, by the way, is this Sunday at Studio 919. You can go. Tickets are on sale now, but you can also win some tickets right after we chat with her next. So stand by for that. She's joining the program. We'll do our traffic and weather as well. So if you got a problem out there, is there something causing you trouble on your commute? Let us know so we can warn everybody else at 71010.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which
is on CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It is 7:50 out there, and we are looking pretty good for the morning commute. All of the weird blips and problems have been clearing up, and we're looking at just the usual volume delays out of the West Shore into downtown Victoria, but otherwise looking okay. If you see otherwise, text me at 71010. No sailing waits at BC Ferries. The 8 o'clock sailing is leaving in a few moments with lots of vehicle deck space left. The weather forecast is a little calmer than yesterday, despite being sunny and warm. There was all those troublesome winds yesterday. That's easing off. It'll be a little less windy today. Still breezy by the water, a little cooler by the water, but just nothing as exciting as yesterday. Highs of 22, cooler by the water is the picture for today. Clear skies tonight, lows to 11. Tomorrow, sunshine, highs of 25, a little cooler by the water. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all looking sunny with temperatures into the mid-20s.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, let's talk about Jazz Fest coming up next. And one of the great artists who will be coming to Victoria on Sunday night is Alicia Biro. This is a little bit of how it sounds.
Feel it creeping, all your overthinking. Forget to breathe. Take air in deep, living
Sounds pretty great. We're going to be hearing that on Sunday. And here on the phone with us, though, to get us started is Alicia Biro, Jazz Fest artist. Hello, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful to get you here. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I guess that's a little bit of what we can expect to hear on Sunday at Studio 919 as part of Victoria Jazz Fest. It's going to be great to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm super excited to be performing.
Now I'm looking at your bio here, and it simply says you were raised in the wilds of Vancouver Island. What does that mean? Where are you from?
Well, I think it's something that's been so special to me, especially moving away from the island. I think, just being in the amount of immense nature and everything in Vancouver Island has been so special to me and such a huge part of my childhood. I grew up about 20 minutes near Qualicum Beach, so kind of in the forest. So I feel like that was a really special part of growing up here.
Okay, but kind of in the Qualicum area is where on the island you're from. Of course, you're not there anymore because you're off in the big city singing. Where do you base yourself now?
I'm currently in LA, which has been a really cool experience.
Now, talk about the journey from here to there. So you start in, as you said, the wilds of Vancouver Island. You've got this fantastic background in music. You got a master's of music from the University of York. You've got a lot of technical skill in piano and singing, but then you're making this wonderful jazz music. How did you go from the island to LA making this music?
Yeah, I think I always loved doing music. I always dreamed of doing it as a career, but I think I never really knew how one does that, and how that makes that happen. And I was really lucky. I had a great mentor who's actually from the West Coast as well, called Bob Rock, who's a producer. And he really recommended that I try and branch out and try a new city and to go for it. And he was a really big supporter. And him and his former bandmate, Chris Taylor, were part of the Payolas in Canada. And they were both incredible supporters. And so I originally was in London, but then I am currently in LA and giving that a go. And it's been really inspiring to be around so many incredible musicians and artists and creatives of all sorts. And I think that's been so inspiring to be around. I've been really enjoying it.
Not bad to get Bob Rock in your corner. How did you meet him? How did you connect with him?
Well, it's an interesting story. Chris Taylor, who was the drummer in the Payolas, I used to teach his son and piano, and when I was I think about 18, and so we ended up becoming quite good friends. And he asked if I had any music that I written. He asked if I was a writer, and I was like, "Oh, sure, I'll send you some things." And I always laughed that I never noticed the platinum record on the wall that was in their house, but he kind of said, "Oh, I think you're really cool. I'd love to send it to a friend," who ended up being Bob Rock, and both of them have just been were huge parts of supporting me and helping me in my writing early on, and just encouraging me to improve and keep working on honing my craft and everything. And both wonderful people.
And was that the kind of breakout moment? So you give the stuff to Bob Rock. Did he kind of connect you with the right people, and next thing you know, you're making it? Or what was that step from being the piano teacher on Vancouver Island to kind of getting your first breakout?
Well, it took a while. I think after that, I think they were huge in kind of starting me on my career and really committing myself and to working hard and kind of helping me in the first bits. And then I was writing for several years after that. And I think I really tried hard to, put lots on social media and try and work hard to improve myself. And I just was writing tons. And then so that eventually when I got in touch with someone from Universal Music in Germany, then I kind of had all this music to send over and all this work that I'd done over, I guess, about 7 years of music. So it was kind of a long chapter, but kind of all in perfect timing. And I'm so grateful to be working with such lovely people, and I'm just so grateful that I'm on this this tour now in Canada. I can't wait.
Well, it's so nice to have you back on the island as well. Lisa, we have a contest going where, in order to win Jazz Fest tickets and tickets to your show as well, we're having our listeners scat, right? And
Incredible.
So I understand that maybe first thing in the morning with your chops, you might want to rest your vocal cords. But what is the knack to scatting, and what's the joy of it?
I love this.
It's so fun I think that having your voice as an instrument is such an amazing thing because it's so personal, and it's something that, obviously you're born with. And it's so I think being able to use it as an instrument and improvise with, vocally, I think is such a fun thing to do. And I think everyone should try because it's just improvisation. And I think that's such a beautiful language. So,
well, we're going to get people to call in and try just after the 8 o'clock news, sports, weather, and traffic to win tickets to a show. But we do have tickets to give away to your show right now. And we're not going to make people work too hard for this one. This is kind of a freebie. We're going to take a caller at 250-386-1161 in just a few moments. And but we'll let you pick the number. Caller number what? Pick a number between 1 and 10.
Oh, let's say caller number 3.
Caller number 3, in just a few moments, will win tickets to see your show, which is coming up this Sunday as part of TD Victoria International Jazz Fest at Studio 919. What do you want people to know about the show? Tell people about what's going to happen.
Well, I'm really excited. It's my first time actually performing in Victoria, so bit of a hometown return after a couple of years. And there's going to be a lot of combinations of original music and some standards and everything between the jazz and singer-songwriter pop worlds. And my whole family's going to be there, so I'm very, very excited.
Oh, great. That's so funny because I guess you left the island to go have your success, so now you get to come home in a completely different light. That's so cool. I love this story.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm very excited.
Well, looking forward to seeing you. This, again, is Alicia Biro performing at Jazz Fest.
You're running from nothing, babe. You're running from nothing, babe. You'll never know the way that the
And you heard her. Caller number 3 right now gets 4 tickets to see her show on Sunday. And we've got another 4-pack of tickets to give away coming up right after the 8 o'clock news, sports, and weather. But that one you're going to have to work for. You're going to have to scat like the Jazz Cats.
treat our souls tenderly. Shoulders release.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
It's 8:01 on this Wednesday, June 17th, with some sunshine in store, a little less wind than yesterday. Congratulations to Alan, who was successfully caller number 3 to win the Jazz Fest tickets to our Jazz Fest artist we just talked to, Alicia Biro. He didn't even have to scat for it, but he still did. Lisa, can I tell you, he scatted for me just on the phone off the air there.
What a keener.
He was a keener.
I like it.
Be like Alan. Right after the news here, we're going to get some lucky caller at 250-386-1161 to scat for us live on the radio for more Jazz Fest tickets. That's to come. Right now, though, it is time for the news, and here is Lisa.
Stats Canada crunching the numbers on our population. Apparently, we edged down slightly, 0.1%. In the first quarter this year, as the number of non-permanent residents dropped off.
The agency estimated the population at just over 41,417,000 on April 1st. That's down about 55,000 people from the start of the year. The decrease came as the preliminary number of non-permanent residents fell by nearly 118,000 people in the first 3 months of the year. Canada welcomed some 83,000 permanent immigrants in the first quarter. Brenda Molina Navidad, The Canadian Press.
BC resident reflecting on the dramatic moment when RCMP officers demanded he and his family leave their West Kelowna home within minutes during a wildfire breaking out yesterday. Joe Gluskin said he and his wife and his daughter had 45 minutes to pack up their precious things and move. The fire is now considered being held after deemed out of control for much of the day yesterday. Glasgow recalls how his morning started before the evacuation order came down.
My wife was more perceptive than I was. She said, that smells like a fire. I said, yeah, it's probably somebody barbecuing and they're burning the thing clear. And then, of course, I would go outside to do some gardening, and the smoke was quite intense at that time, but it was, of course, white smoke, and it was going up. And then I said, okay, that's the fire.
Central Okanagan officials downgrading the evacuation order last night, but still more than 700 properties in West Kelowna remain under evacuation alert, so residents still need to be ready to leave at a moment's notice. The province providing an update on drought and wildfires across BC yesterday. David Campbell from the River Forecast Centre says we are much drier than normal heading into the summer months.
We're coming into the drought season with a number of factors that are elevating our drought hazard. That low snowpack, early snow melt, the dry spring that we've seen so far, and that projection of a hot and dry summer moving forward. We see elevated concerns in some of the areas, particularly that these factors are most prevalent in the south and south interior, central interior, and areas on the south coast and Vancouver Island.
No new wildfires on Vancouver Island in the last 48 hours. There are 14 active wildfires burning province-wide, according to the BC Wildfire Dashboard this hour. 5 new fires starting in the last 24 hours. Stage 3 water restrictions are coming to the Comox Valley Regional District next week. That means, among other things, no lawn watering at any time on any day. Speaking of water, the Transportation Safety Board is recommending Ottawa take a closer look at uncertified vessels. This after the Titan submersible imploded on descent to the Titanic nearly 3 years ago. It was only 3 years ago tomorrow. The board releasing a report today examining the disaster that killed all 5 on board. The report says Transport Canada knew the Titan was operating out of St. John's, Newfoundland, with support from Canadian vessels. However, it said that the department did not provide oversight of the Titan's operations. The safety board recommends the department come up with a plan to determine whether the uncertified vessel poses a safety risk and then monitor these vessels more closely. That's your news to 8:05. CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking, do you think clean drinking water should be a basic human right for all Canadians? Well, over 80% say yes, that's a good idea. You can vote at CFAX1070.com or the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time is 8:07.
Thank you, Lisa, and good morning. It's going to be a sunny day today with a few clouds and a temperature reaching a high of 22, a little bit cooler by the water. It still will be breezy by the water today, just not as windy as yesterday where we had those real strong gusts. That seems to be out of the forecast. Also stand by because in a few moments, your next chance to win Jazz Fest tickets.
Beep, beep, pop, pop.
You got to do what Lisa just did there. You got to scat.
For 10 seconds. Or longer.
I even
if you're good, we'll make a song of it.
I even got drums. I got drums for you.
Ryan can play guitar. I can
ready.
do tambourine.
We're set to form a band here when you call us at 250-386-1161. First, though, it's the sports, and we've got our World Cup report.
This is your TSN Radio FIFA World Cup 2026 update.
I'm John Rodenberg. Tuesday, the game's biggest stars erupted. Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, but none shone brighter than the ageless Lionel Messi.
Messi! His first World Cup hat-trick, and it's a record setter.
The soon-to-be 39-year-old had the hat-trick in Argentina's 3-0 win over Algeria, the first of his World Cup career, and he's now tied with Germany's Miroslav Klose for the most career goals with 16. Mbappe had 2 goals for France in a 3-1 win over Senegal. Not to be outdone, Haaland had 2 himself in Norway's 4-1 victory over Iraq. And Austria defeated Jordan 3-1. Today, the last 8 teams to get in their first games include England with a marquee matchup against Croatia at 4 p.m. Eastern, while Ronaldo and Portugal play Congo. Tuesday was another practice day for Canada in Vancouver as Alphonso Davies' status for tomorrow's game remains a closely guarded secret. Canada will play Qatar at 6 p.m. on Thursday. You can watch the FIFA World Cup matches on TSN, CTV, Crave, and streaming at tsn.ca. Listen on the TSN Radio Network with all games streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
Guess what? You can also hear Canada's World Cup game tomorrow against Qatar live on CFAX 1070. We'll be broadcasting it on the radio starting tomorrow with the kickoff at 3. Real quick, I just want to tell you about local baseball. Victoria Harbour Cats with a 17-7 win over the Redmond Dudes yesterday at the Wilsons Group Stadium at Royal Athletic Park. Those two teams go at it again tonight, 6:35. At home again for the Harper Cats, and then tomorrow they got the School Spirit Day at the park at 11:05 is when that game is going to start, and that is your sports to 8:09. All right, the lines are open, 250-386-1161. Call me now. I'm going to pick a random caller, close my eyes, and just push a button.
Willy-nilly.
I'm going to willy-nilly the phone and take a caller, and if you are the one that I pick, you're going to have to scat for me. You're going to have to do the jazz scat to win tickets to, by the way, I guess I should tell you who you're winning tickets to because it's a specific set of tickets. This one is for a band called Kakaroko.
Cool.
They're big enough they got to do one of those tiny desk concerts. You know those things? Yeah, so they've done all kinds of cool stuff.
Really cool African rhythms in there.
Very much so. And they are going to be playing on June 22nd. We got a 4-pack of tickets to give away if you scat. Next. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show right here brought to you by Thrifty Foods, where this Saturday from 10 until 1, the first 200 kids aged 12 and under are invited to decorate a free brownie for Dad for Father's Day at all Thrifty Foods locations. What's going on the roads? Well, you tell me at 7:10:10 if you see a problem out there, crash, accident, other delays. Right now, it's just kind of usual construction stuff. Cook Street still a mess. Southbound at Hillside to Bay closed. Full closure. Cook Street at Pandora. It's the same as it's been all week, just sort of throwing those reminders out again. No specific collisions or other problems, though, at this time. And for the BC ferries, no sailing waits. 9 o'clock sailing has lots of room left for vehicles. And for the weather, less windy than yesterday. Mainly sunny skies, highs of 22, a little cooler by the water. Clear skies tonight, lows to 11. Then tomorrow, sunshine, highs up to 25 as we start to warm up again towards the weekend. And that's the trend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all looking like mostly sunny skies with a few cloudy periods and temperatures up to about the mid-20s. Right now, for the temperature in downtown Victoria, it is 13 degrees. On the markets, S&P TSX up 122 to 35,512. The Dow is up 166 to 52,165. The Nasdaq is down 47 to 26,329 Canadian dollar at 71.3 cents US, which is down a little bit from yesterday.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
TD Victoria International Jazz Fest is starting on Friday. This is one of the performers. Kokoroko, who will be playing at the Victoria Jazz Fest.
That's a chill sound.
Oh, yeah, on Monday. This is going to be good. This is vibes. That's what that is. Pure vibes. Do you want to go? Well, you can go to that show. I've got 4 tickets to give away right now to the person who's called in to perform a little jazz scat for us. Let's go to the phones. Who's this?
This is Patty.
Patty.
Hi, Patty.
You are, I'm going to guess, lucky contestant, or maybe it's terrifying. I don't know. Either way.
How are you feeling, Patty?
Oh, I feel like doing a little scat.
Oh, good. Okay, you're into this.
All right.
You are ready. So here's what I'm going to do for you, Patty. I am going to play a little bit of jazz drums. It's not me on the drums, just going to specify. I didn't bring a drum kit in, but I'm going to play.
We don't have the money.
Yeah, we don't have the budget for that. I'm going to play some drums for you, and then you just do whatever you want to do in that space. And as long as you do, I'm going to send you with 4 tickets to Jazz Fest to see that artist I was just playing there, Kokoroko. So are you ready for this?
I am.
Okay, let me just get my my jazz drums ready. Here we go. Okay, here they come. Yes.
Okay.
I call that a winner. That was fantastic.
I like that. I like the little breathiness you had in there, too.
Oh, yeah.
That was on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Good.
And you know what? Really working with the rhythm there. I thought you really locked in with the drums.
Well, I listened for them.
Okay. you were present. You were in the moment. You were feeling that beat. I loved it, Patty.
Are you a singer by trade? No. You almost had us fooled there. I was buying it.
Congratulations, Patty. You're going to the show. I got 4 tickets for you. I'm going to put you on hold. How you feeling?
Thank you very much. I feel great. Thank you.
Good. Excellent.
Singing is good for you.
It is. It is. And we're going to make everybody else sing, too, because tomorrow we've got another 4-pack of tickets to give away. And then again on Friday, we're going to do this all this week as we get ready for this wonderful tradition in Victoria, TD Victoria International Jazz Fest. Right now, though, it's time for the headlines. Here's Lisa.
BC Highway Patrol putting commercial truck drivers on notice that if they use our local highways, they better be compliant with all safety rules and regulations. Highway Patrol officers say they were jumping fines over a 48-hour inspection that they had in the Make That Kamloops area in mid-May. There was 44 fines handed out compared to 31 last year, and 59 warnings compared to 29 last year among the 400 vehicles that were inspected. They know that there was an increase in defects, too, found needing repairs from 28 last May up until 38 this May. So quite a big jump. BC's Auditor General, Bridget Parrish's findings are mixed over how 3 school districts, including SD 63, source millions of dollars worth of goods and services each year, and whether they lived up to the principles of fair and open procurement. In a report to the Legislative Assembly of BC, the AG focused on the procurement frameworks in Saanich, as well as Abbotsford and Coquitlam school districts. The audits found gaps and inconsistency that meant the district's policies and practices did not reflect the spirit and intent of the manual. BC's 60 school districts spend about $800 million on equipment for computers, classroom and office supplies, fuel, food, and other items in the fiscal year that ended in June 30th of last year. Parrish says their team will continue to plan these audits to ensure that there's no inconsistency in practice and create any operational or reputational risks as a result. And a new leader of the Conservative Party of BC may have changed the face of the opposition, but new data from the nonprofit Angus Reid Institute finds the governing BC NDP's larger problem is not who sits across the aisle from them. BCers asked say they're 3 times are likely to say the province is on the wrong track at 60%, as is the right track at only 19%, while the province got net negative assets for every major issue measured. While almost all residents say they know nothing or little about the new Conservative leader, who is Carrie Lynn Finlay, her party nonetheless holds an advantage in vote intention. The Conservatives lead the NDP by 11 votes among decided voters. That's your news to 8:18.
Thank you, Lisa. We have a story to cover coming up next, which takes a little unpacking. You know how we've got the school board for Greater Victoria School District back, right?
Yes.
The province reinstated them after a while ago. They'd fired the board and put a trustee in charge. But now the board is back, and they've just recently had their first meeting. My understanding is one of the items that got addressed in that meeting was putting a pause on something that happened in the gap where they were gone. That was a move towards something called the award system, where when we elect the Greater Victoria School Board, the change that was being made was that we would elect school district trustees tied to certain areas. Like if you lived in Esquimalt, you might elect your own trustee.
Makes sense.
If you're in Greater Victoria, you might have a couple that you elect. If you're on the Songhees Nation, maybe you elect one there. You'd have people representing different geographic areas on the school board rather than everybody just being at large. Just one big pool of everybody running for it wherever it is. Because as my next guest had argued, because Tim Morrison, a Esquimalt councillor, he's coming up next, he was one of the big proponents of this change. Because he said, for instance, in Esquimalt, nobody from Esquimalt had been on the school board for decades. He thought this was a problem. He wanted to address it. And that was being addressed because they'd made that change. Although, will we start to see that change walked back? I'm not sure exactly where this goes, but we're going to get him to weigh in and give us a sense of what he knows. So Tim Morrison is Esquimalt councillor on this situation at the school board. That's next. All right, so the CFAX 1070 traffic and weather desk, where it's actually looking pretty typical at this point. Other than all the construction stuff in Victoria, we've got fairly typical but fairly backed up conditions from the West Shore into Victoria. It's slow going, but no crashes or accidents. It's just that Wednesday volume. We've got on the Bay Street Bridge, it's open and flowing again, but tonight we'll have another overnight closure starting at 7 p.m., so just heads up for that. That's also tomorrow night. But yeah, the overnight road work is done now for the day, and it is flowing both directions on the Bay Street Bridge. No waits at BC Ferries, and for Victoria weather, it is mainly sunny today, a little windy off the water, but not nearly as windy as yesterday. But windy enough to make it a little cooler if you're kind of exposed to the Juan de Fuca Strait. Highs of 22, otherwise 17.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Yes, the newly reinstated Greater Victoria School Board met for the first time this week, and we're unpacking some of what happened, including what's going on with the changes to how we elect the school board. Because come this election, we were... or maybe we still are. I don't know what's going on. We're going to elect for the first time representatives from different areas to the school board. This thing called the ward system, which is done other places like this. If you live on the Saanich Peninsula or areas covered by the Saanich Peninsula School District, this is already how you do it. You know, Sydney elects a member, North Saanich does, and then they all sit on the school board. Victoria, though, didn't do that. Until now, we were going to make this change. But did the school board that just kind of got back into business after they were reinstated, are they going to try to undo this? There was some sense of that at this first meeting. Here to talk about it is Tim Morrison. He's an Esquimalt councillor, but he was also the guy, one of the guys really pushing for this change to how we elect the school board, and he's joining us on the line right now. Sir, how you doing?
Very good, thank you, and good morning, Ryan.
Yeah, it's sort of a bit of a complicated issue to unpack, but I think I did a decent job of explaining where we're at. Right? Is that about right?
Yeah, definitely a great summary. In terms of what happened, it was their Monday school board meeting. My understanding is that the school board have not yet, done anything definitive, or they haven't moved to undo the new electoral system.
Okay. Yeah.
But it appears that they are, somewhat resistant. As there's a sort of a school board procedure bylaw that needs to be approved by July for the upcoming school board elections, and they appear to be kind of dragging their feet on that bylaw requirement. And this is one that would just typically be just a formality at this point. However, Ryan, as we know with this particular board, nothing has been typical, and certainly they have, if they were to be obstructive of our much needed electoral reform, then it would signal to the public right now that they have no shame in disregarding their roles and ensuring good governance and the value of really respecting relationships with local municipalities, and especially the importance of reconciliation efforts that have been done and made with the Songhees and the Esquimalt nations, which was actually a very big part of the electoral forum work that we did with the nations. Look, as a board recently restored to power, they now have a real opportunity to restore public confidence in their conduct and to rebuild reputation, a real strong reputation as one that respects the great progress that we have made on school board electoral reform, which is based on collaboration from across the school district in which we all share. Or they can completely disregard that opportunity and they can just give us more of the same drama and dysfunction as we got before, and as we know, ultimately led to their demise and a complete loss of public confidence. It's really that simple.
So, but again, this Monday meeting, it's not that they actively tried to undo this change, but the way you put it, they were just dragging their feet a little bit. But in what way did they talk about it? And I'm just trying to get any sense of motivation for why they might be opposed to this.
Well, yeah, thank you. So there was very little discussion, which which creates more confusion for everyone. But essentially, what they were supposed to do is just, make sure that their elections bylaw was in place in time for the upcoming school board elections this fall. And then some of them raised concerns. One of them, I think, gave a pretty vocal opposition to it. He said he wasn't going to support it. And then they said, well, let's get more information and decide to table it. And that was pretty much the end of it, with a lot of people kind of like with giant question marks in our head. What does this all mean? But I'll tell you, if they do proceed with an attempt to undo our very inclusive, collective, and collaborative efforts on electoral reform, Ryan, that would be an absolute tragedy and devastating step backwards in the progress that all of us have made in achieving fair and equitable school board representation for all of our communities, and as I said, including for the First Nations. Most certainly, it would be a complete slap in the face to all 6 of our municipalities and then the 2 nations that collectively, as our, all of our communities, we're the communities that form and populate School District 61. The damage would be irreversible, and I highly doubt that they even have the legal authority to do what it is they may think that they can do on this. So
okay, because that's another question here. Is even if they did want to, and again, there's no definitive answer to what is going on, but it sounds like even if they were to try to change this, are you saying that the authority lies with the ministry rather than with the school board when it comes to an electoral change like this?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of irony going on here, some political irony for sure. So just to give you a quick thumb sketch history review of what happened. When the board was still previously in place, I think it was the fall of 2024, the township of Esquimalt was quite concerned, as were all of our neighboring municipalities and the nations that all populate the school district, around the severe disconnect that was occurring between us and the school board around public safety and the student safety plans, and of course the issue about policing being involved in part of our school system and whatnot. We don't need to review all that history, but what had happened at the time was that Township of Esquimalt, we reached out to the school board and said, let's have a conversation about the disconnect and let's look at representation and see how we can kind of work together on this to fix the problem that we have in terms of a disconnect. At that time, the only response from the school board was that they said to us that they have nothing to do with deciding electoral reform. They said, and they quoted the School Act, that says it's the minister that has the sole authority on determining electoral systems for every school board in the province. So for them now to think that they are the ones deciding this at the 11th hour after all this work, and it's been 2 years. Like I said, this started almost 2 years. Like it started the fall of 2024, and there was a tremendous amount of work of collaboration on our task force to come up with this recommendation on electoral reform. And they just want to kind of pretend that none of that ever happened. And they also seem to want to pretend that they never told us to begin with that we should be going to the Minister of Education to get this process done. It's very, very odd is all I could describe it as.
We're talking to Tim Morrison. He is an Esquimalt town councillor, but also was one of the big voices trying to push for this change to a ward system within the Greater Victoria School Board, so we would elect the school board members from the various areas. And like you said, you did all that effort to figure out a fair system that everybody could agree to, which municipalities and First Nations would be able to elect which members, and all that is basically ready to just get rubber stamped. Are we seeing any excitement when it comes to that final rubber stamp? We'll wait and see at the school board level. Tim Morrison, thank you so much for walking us through the issue, though. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate the time.
Okay, we got to take a break. 8:30 news next on CFAX. CFAX 1070 is proud to support the 42nd TD Victoria International Jazz Fest. 10 hot days and nights of the coolest music in town. The longest-running party on Vancouver Island brings you jazz, blues, funk, world, and more. Featuring free-to-attend outdoor performances, ticketed and cover charge shows, and free-to-attend workshops on stages across downtown Victoria and Esquimalt. The 42nd TD Victoria International Jazz Fest, June 19th to the 28th. Tickets on sale now. Details at CFAX1070.com and on the iHeart Radio app.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Mostly sunny, but a few clouds today as we get into this Wednesday. Right now we're sitting at 12 degrees. Good morning. It's 8:32 on Wednesday, June 17th. We'll get you a full forecast in a moment. But right now the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Good morning. June 30th, 13 days from now, marking 5 years since a wildfire killed 2 people, nearly wiping the village of Lytton off the map. Jennifer Toss is a councillor in the village of BC's Fraser Canyon. She says she's critical of the costly recovery process that they've seen. She says the grift of Lytton has grown into a systemic problem, due in part to what she sees of lack of oversight of higher levels of government.
Inevitably, you have people that offer services and want to capitalize on it, and sometimes well-intentioned, but they're making money. Unfortunately, the nature of the beast is that people see dollar signs and they want to capitalize on it.
Thoughts is among several critics who contrast a roster of recovery staff have been costing in the range of $40,000 to $100,000 every month, what she sees as little progress on the ground. To the water, where the Transportation Safety Board of Canada is recommending Ottawa take a closer look at uncertified vessels. This after the Titan submersible imploded on a descent to the Titanic. It'll be 3 years ago tomorrow that happened. Here's Lisa Laporte.
The board released a report Wednesday examining the disaster that killed all 5 people on board, including the chief executive of the company behind the voyage. The report says Transport Canada knew the Titan was operating out of St. John's, Newfoundland, with support from Canadian vessels. But it said the department didn't provide oversight of the Titan's operations.
The Safety Board recommends the department come up with a plan on how to determine whether an uncertified vessel poses a safety risk and then monitor that vessel more closely. It says that Titan's carbon fiber hull was likely damaged with each dive it took to the site before finally imploding on June 18th, 2023. Immigration Minister Lena Dabb says having Canadian ancestor does not guarantee someone is eligible for Canadian citizenship. She says individuals must definitively prove their link to Canada at every generation and that genealogical websites are not enough. Canadian Post reporters asked her about those issues today in Ottawa.
So for Canadian citizenship, we've been very clear from the beginning. Each applicant must link their ancestry generation per generation through verified, authenticated documents. So the genealogy records are certainly not sufficient.
People who receive citizenship certificates through Canada's citizenship by descent law want answers after an unknown number of them got requests from the federal government to surrender those said certificates now. The U.S. president seems to be softening his stance now on the memorandum of understanding that he claims the U.S. and Iran have agreed to. The agreement was scheduled for signing on Friday in Geneva. Other nations at the G7 summit in Geneva have released a statement in support of the agreement, but the details of the agreement are still largely unknown.
They did put out a statement overnight supporting this agreement, calling it a breakthrough, but it is not even clear if all of the G7 leaders have actually seen copy of this agreement. We know lawmakers back in Washington have not, and they are clamoring for this agreement and briefings from the White House on what is included.
We'll keep you posted on what happens next. And that's your news to 8:36. Our CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning, we're asking, do you think clean drinking water should be a human right for all Canadians? 85% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. Your news time is 8:37.
Thank you, Lisa. We have some sun and cloud today, and we've got a temperature eventually to hit a high of 22 degrees, cooler by the water, and most importantly, a little less windy than yesterday after some power outages caused by those gusty winds yesterday. With any luck, that will not be a factor today. That's at least what the forecast is indicating. We'll get you the full sense of it in a moment. First over to the sports. Victoria Harbour Cats with a 17-7 win over the Redmond Dudes last night at Royal Athletic Park, Wilson's Group Stadium. Cats and Dudes face each other again tonight and then tomorrow morning. Tonight's a 6:35 start. Then tomorrow it's an 11:05 start for School Spirit Day for the Victoria Harbour Cats. In the majors, Seattle Mariners beating Baltimore 3-1, and the Toronto Blue Jays with a win over Boston last night 6-1, and the Jays will try to get 2 in a row as they face Boston again tonight for the second game of the 3. There are 4 World Cup matches today in soccer, including one at Toronto Stadium. This is Group L underdogs Ghana and Panama. It's the second of 6 matches to be played at the Toronto venue. And elsewhere, England meets Croatia in Arlington, Texas, amongst the 4 games going on today. For tomorrow, Team Canada will be playing Qatar, and I can tell you that CFAX 1070 will be broadcasting that World Cup soccer match starting around 3 o'clock with the kickoff, so stay tuned to CFAX for World Cup on the radio. Last night, Lionel Messi scored 3 times to tie the World Cup's all-time scoring record, so 16 goals overall in all of his World Cups, and was his first hat-trick at a World Cup. So Lionel Messi with a big showing as Argentina blanked Algeria 3-0 amongst the games from yesterday. That's your CFAX 1070 Sports. It's 8:39. It's 8:40, traffic and weather time. No crashes or accidents to report right now on the roads of Greater Victoria, but we do have a lot of construction. Cook Street still closed southbound Hillside to Bay because of the concrete pouring for the bike lanes. And a little further down, Cook Street at Pandora and Mason, a full closure, both directions completely closed. And that's going to be the case for the next few days as well. Friday is closed as well, and that should be the last day of it if it goes on schedule. And there's still closures on Government Street. This has been ongoing forever, but that Government Street closure between Pembroke and Discovery, just a reminder that that's also a thing right now in effect. And for Bay Street Bridge, overnight closure tonight again at 7. It's reopened now. It was closed overnight last night, closed again tonight and tomorrow night. That's 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Bay Street Bridge as they continue some work there. But at least during the day now, it is open both directions. For the weather forecast, mainly sunny today, but we do have some cloudy periods. In fact, some clouds kind of blowing over downtown right now, and where we're sitting in Esquimalt. But it is going to be a mostly sunny day overall with a high of 22 degrees. Bit cooler by the water with a bit of breeze blowing off the Juan de Fuca Strait. Just not as much wind as yesterday. Those strong winds caused some trouble and some power outages yesterday. We're not expecting that kind of wind today. Tonight, clear skies, lows to 11. Tomorrow, it's getting a little warmer. Sunshine, highs of 25, but cooler by the water. And then that same forecast kind of repeats for the next few days, except maybe getting, a few clouds here and there on and off through the next few days. But otherwise, mostly sunny. Temperatures into the mid-20s as a high, and lows down to 11, 12 degrees. On the markets right now, S&P TSX up 182 to 35,572. The Dow is up 182 to 52,182. Canadian dollar is at 71.3 cents U.S., which is down just a couple of ticks from yesterday's close. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. Need a cab? Try the Bluebird Cabs app at Bluebird Cabs Ltd. They're proudly local and Canadian owned and run since 1946.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Let's talk about the state of downtown Victoria, where there are still some concerns from the Downtown Victoria Business Association and the businesses that they represent when it comes to things like open drug use, street disorder, that kind of stuff, fully in focus as they release their annual report on downtown, which was just released this week. And amongst the things they're calling for is for all public supervised drug consumption sites and harm reduction services to be closed, which is I think kind of it's a big ask.
It is a big ask. If you don't feel you're getting the results, the positive results, then you have to obviously continue to tweak things. And that was one of the things that hit the radar.
So we're going to talk to the Downtown Victoria Business Association and their head, Jeff Bray, in just a moment about that call. But there's more to this report than that. There is some good news and bad news in this. Some businesses are still grading Downtown Victoria with an F. If you give it a letter
Pretty
grade.
permanent.
The overall, businesses responding to the survey overall gave a letter grade of C+ to the state of downtown, but there were 11% of respondents that graded it an F, which is about the same as last year. Vandalism, property damage, as well as the disorder and drug use still showing up as issues that downtown Victoria businesses are facing. But on the positive side, they do note that they are seeing positive momentum in the other direction. There have been there's more police presence, more bylaw enforcement. The businesses say they are noticing that the city is working on it, but they still want to see more, I guess, is the takeaway here.
Okay, but they're still grading it overall as an F.
Well, 11% of businesses are.
Okay, so it's not the vast majority. And they're seeing some movement. I mean, even when I go downtown, I do see some boots on the ground when it comes to police force. And unfortunately, in order to, if we've got, the amount of theft that we've had downtown, which is widely reported, we do have to have police officers on the ground. And having that visibility, I think, makes a big difference. And keeping it safe during the day and night, it makes a big difference too. And there's movement there. So I don't know, when you look at that number, when you look at 11% versus the vast of it, average is okay. We're as a city, we're always going to have something. It's what that thing is. And consumption sites obviously still on the radar as to the difference that they make. Some people very much proponents for it, and some people just don't think they should exist.
We're going to talk to Jeff Bray, CEO, Downtown Victoria Business Association, about that very thing in just a moment. But right now, it's over to the news headlines. And here is Lisa Best.
Thank you and good morning. A West Kelowna resident said his family had 45 minutes total to pack up after police came to the door yesterday, told them to flee as a wildfire burned nearby. Joe Gluska says he and his wife and his daughter grabbed clothes, medical equipment, a hard drive with the family photos on it before leaving in their vehicle, their home, one of more than 300 properties under evacuation until early last night, the fire breaking out in a park next to Okanagan Lake. The BC Wildfire Service says now that blaze isn't expected to grow past its existing boundaries, so being held right now. The evacuation order downgraded, but the alert still covers more than 400 properties in the area. Premier David Eby says he'll be hosting and yelling, "Go Canada, go," as Team Canada plays Qatar in the World Cup match tomorrow in Vancouver. He told the crowd gathered in the city that his request for everyone in the province, wear red in solidarity. Eby says Canadians have been through a lot in the past few years. It's time to celebrate how the country is standing up on the world stage. This as Vancouver bars stock up on staff and extra beer. Soccer fans moving in Australia on the weekend, nearly drinking some of the bars dry. And we're talking major pubs in downtown Victoria. I make that Vancouver. We could hope they come to Victoria and party too. WorkSafe BC says Fraser Valley Water Park, where 12 students were injured on the weekend in an apparent electrical accident, won't reopen until it's all deemed safe. Officials say the students from a middle school in Port Coquitlam made contact with a railing in the queuing area beneath the 0 to 60 water slide in the Cultus Lake Water Park. The park says the railing was part of a steel frame tent structure. RCMP say early indications, so there's no criminality involved, and Technical Safety BC is now leading the investigation. That's your news to 8:46.
The state of downtown Victoria in focus next as we talk to Jeff Bray. We'll also do our traffic and weather. If you see a problem out there on the roads, let us know at 71010.
Where the noise stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations. From major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show. Friday morning at 9 a.m. Right here on CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show is brought to you by Thrifty Foods, where this Saturday, 10 until 1, the first 200 kids aged 12 and under invited to decorate a free brownie for Dad, because it's Father's Day the next day, at all Thrifty Foods locations. Still no crashes or accidents at this time on our major streets, and the West Shore commute is starting to ease off a little bit as well. We're still seeing some heavy volume on the Trans-Canada Highway heading in towards Victoria, but the Souk Road / Island Highway route into town is starting to clear up quite a bit. For the BC Ferries, no sailing waits, and for the weather forecast, we are seeing a mix of sun and cloud today. Mostly sunny, but we're kind of in a cloudy period right now for parts of Victoria. We'll see a bit of wind, but not nearly as much as yesterday. Highs of 22, cooler by the Juan de Fuca Strait where the wind blows. Tonight, clear skies, lows down to 11 degrees, and then tomorrow, another sunny day, highs up to 25, but again, cooler by the water. Right now for the temperatures, we're already at 14 degrees at the Victoria International Airport. That's the official temperature for Victoria. But in Colwood by the water, you are sitting at 13 degrees.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Downtown Victoria Business Association, among other things, calling on public-facing supervised drug consumption sites and those kind of harm reduction sites to be closed. This as they take a look at their Downtown Victoria businesses annual report into the state of downtown. Here to talk more about it, Jeff Bray, CEO of the Downtown Victoria Business Association, who we've actually reached out on Fort Street because they're doing a cleanup right now, a scrub up on Fort Street. Good morning, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Ryan. Yes, we're on the 700 block of Fort Street. We're doing the Fort Street scrub up. It's a number of the businesses get together. We just do a late spring clean. We've got the mayor here, the police chief, the fire chief. Just sort of a bit of a community event, a bit of a sort of a spring clean before we head into the busy summer season.
What do you actually clean? Is it like getting graffiti off, or is it just physically like getting dirt? Like, what are you cleaning?
Yeah, well, as you always hear me say, it's actually very clean downtown, but businesses are out, they're washing their windows, window ledges, just doing, that extra little bit, kind of to connect with each other, to connect with some of the city resources that are out today. And just as part of being a great neighborhood at the 700 block of Fort, businesses working together with other businesses.
Excellent. Okay, so that scrub up is happening on Fort Street. If you're out and about, you'll see them out there cleaning up. Speaking of cleaning up, you would like to see a little more of that in a different way in downtown Victoria, because you got this this annual report into the state of downtown. You've kind of surveyed all the businesses. You've gotten their feedback on how things are. And one of the things that continues to come up here is the sort of state of disorder and drug use and all of that in downtown Victoria, to the point that you are calling on the higher levels of government, the powers that be, to close things like the supervised consumption sites and harm reduction facilities that Victoria has to try to help people with their drug addictions. Talk about what you're calling for here and what you found in your report.
Sure. So, the number one issue, we ask our businesses all sorts of questions. We look at all sorts of data, and there's definitely some good news. Business performance is a bit better this year. Retail vacancy rate is down a little bit this year. People saw more police, more bylaw, which the city responded to from last year, that was positive. But the number one issue by a large margin that's negatively impacting the economic vitality of downtown, as identified by our businesses, was open drug use. And the open drug use happens here because this is where all the services that support that activity are happening. Now, to be clear, obviously our recommendation is controversial. We didn't say close them and that's it. We said we've had them here downtown. If it is not appropriate to have a supervised consumption site, which is a health service, in the hospital, if it's not appropriate there, then why is it appropriate to have them all concentrated in the downtown neighborhood where people live and work and play? And so we're saying, look, it is time for these to be moved out of the downtown core, spread around. They're still a necessary service, but we've done our share, and it's not fair that businesses and their employees face all of the ancillary challenges. It's not just people flailed out after smoking drugs. It's that they need to go and commit crimes in order to fund this activity, all concentrated down here. So that's really what we're calling for. The other thing, just to be clear, is we did very much differentiate the public-facing supervised consumption sites from those that operate within supportive housing units, which are only for residents, which do not cause the same problem at all. So, but we're saying downtown's done our chore. This is not a Victoria problem. This is a pan-Canadian problem. But it's time for the Island Health and the province to spread these services out so that our businesses and the residents, the 10,000 people who live down here, don't have to deal with it all themselves.
And that's continuing, you said, to be one of the top concerns for businesses, is that open drug use and sort of that. It gives for people visiting downtown, it tends to give them a bit of an ick, and they don't necessarily want to be there. At least for some people, that's the case. But that was kind of the case last year as well. Have you seen improvement, though, despite the fact that you're still calling on this as a big problem? Is it at least going in a better direction than it was?
Yes. So we've seen economic improvement, get a little stronger. We're seeing confidence of businesses improve a little bit. And many of our businesses said, look, last year the city added more police, more bylaws, sort of the things that they had control over, and we've seen improvement, or we feel like we're going to see improvement. So that was very, very positive. We'd also called on the federal government to bring in more bail reform. That piece of legislation just got royal assent in Parliament, and so we have stronger bail provisions. So again, we are seeing some positive things that are happening and are or will have a positive impact. What we haven't seen is from the province that's really done anything different since last year around mental health addictions. We still, have the same number of detox beds. We have a few more treatment beds, but, all of it's concentrated down here, and it's time for the province to step up. And I've said, look, get started. Doesn't have to be perfect, but there's ATCO trailers sitting up at Site C. Bring some of those down, second some health staff from other jurisdictions, and start providing detox and treatment. There are enough people who would voluntarily jump at the chance to get healthy that you don't even have to worry about finding them. They'll be right there. But the province needs to get on with it, and that's what our members are saying. And so, yes, it's a bit provocative. But it isn't that they shouldn't exist, is that they don't all need to be all within downtown.
That's the call from the DVBA, reflecting the desire of members for the Downtown Victoria Business Association as they release their annual report. But, I'm one of those glass half full weirdos here, Jeff, and I don't want to just talk about what this report found when it comes to, the issues that are outstanding. It also found some good stuff. I mean, downtown Victoria is still a vibrant place to be, and there's a lot of good signs here in this report. Let's talk about let's end on the positive. What's going on here?
Sure. Well, one of the things we did as an adjunct to this is we did a major public opinion poll with Mario Canseco and Research Co. That we released last week. And what it found is people outside of the core love downtown. They love the mix of, restaurants, bars, retail. They love the events down here. They find it incredibly walkable. They even said we like the public transit options in getting downtown. So they said, we really love downtown. It is. So we're not coming downtown because we don't like it or there isn't things we want. We're not coming downtown as often because of a sense of safety and because the drivability, vehicle flow is becoming increasingly difficult. I can't stand, driving in and around downtown, or I find it very difficult to get around. And that's another part of the report is we're again saying there's a huge opportunity for this region to continue to come downtown, but we have to acknowledge that most people come in by car, and we have to make sure we're accommodating vehicle traffic for people to be able to come in and enjoy the retail or the cultural events or go to Herman's Jazz Club. And that's something that we're focusing on with the city. But the public love downtown, and they've just said if these things are improved, we'll be down more often.
Jeff Bray, CEO of the Downtown Victoria Business Association. I should probably let you go because you got scrubbing to do on Fort Street.
You betcha. But thanks very much, Ryan. And again, thank you to your listeners. The thing about our downtown is that Greater Victorians always shop local, always make those thoughtful purchases. And so on behalf of our businesses, thank you again, Greater Victoria, for your support of local business.
Well, right at a time. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you to Morgana Adby for producing today's show and Lisa Best as your 9 o'clock news. Next, I'll talk to you tomorrow.